I think what did it for me was that David Toop book, the first edition of Rap Attack, because he had all this lists of records in the back.
Star Wars was kind of, that was another game changer, wasn't it?
At the time, you're looking at it just because you're just obsessed with graffiti. But when you look at it now, man, that is a war reportage documentary.
My Name Go By, which I think come out in 76,
Yeah.
and also Stations of the Elevator.
Stations of the Elevator.
Which come out in 81.
Yeah, and I mean, that for me is the ultimate documentary because you don't need a narration. The trains speak for themselves. So to have seen Style Wars with this marrying of the classical music at the beginning and then the whole hip-hop thing, to then see it mixed in from an earlier period with no narration mixed with jazz,
mind-blowing.
just took it to a whole other level. Probably around 86 that picked up because everyone was trying to copy Sheffield, because Sheffield had it really going on with the bombing, with the torch pens, the wides, and writing backwards so you can see it through the window at the other side.
Can you remember some of them big writers from Sheffield?
And you get that broad Sheffield accent, like, yeah, you'll know when you get to Sheffield, looks like Bronx. Looks like Bronx, lad.
Beautiful,
and
wasn't it?
The chimes as well were different, because in New York it was like cross, little cross. Here it was skinny line, flare. But if we're talking about traditional graffiti, I don't care. Hands down, Mode 2, King. The best piece. Heading for global destruction. Now the global, the letters are inside a bubble.
It's amazing.
And it looks airbrushed. The background is now out of space. There's a planet with a ring around it, bits of stars. Then there's electricity with the bump that turned upside down.
Did you love it over the West Way?
I loved the West Way. And just the way the pieces looked on those panels. Yeah, I'm like, are they talking about Bunny? And then as soon as I went on Instagram, I'm like, no way. And I've got photos of me rhyming with DJ Devastate from Twilight Film.
Because you're a big fan of Demon Boys as well,
I was a
weren't you?
massive fan of the Demon Boys too.
1 2 1 2. Are we ready to do this?
I think
Right, lights,
so.
camera, action. On this week's show, and the first of 2026, we are going in with a bang. I have someone who caught the hip-hop bug early doors and was putting his name up and battering the streets with his incredible art style. He was in the Aerosol Native crew, the Mad Transit Vandals, VOP and Sonic 4 crew. He's also a music producer and has put out some killer bangers over the years with New Flesh, Roots Maneuver, Blackalicious, Ramel-Z. We have the multi-talented, the one and only Part 2 in the back of the iconic, world-class mother funkin' Ultra Cab.
Boom, tearing the roof off the sucker.
Cool Keith 2 in the back.
It's all good, Steve.
Listen, mate, it's an honour.
It's an honour to be in this cab as I'm just looking at the tape mod and getting ready for my new retrospective, New Flesh for Old.
Yeah,
it's going to transform into the Full Metal Rabbit.
I'll tell you what, this is going to be a big interview, and I cannot wait to talk history, the new projects, and at the end of this interview we're going to be dropping a new track which is from the new album, which is going to literally have this cab on fire.
Yeah, we're tearing the roof off the sucker with that one. Yeah, Full Metal Rabbit crew.
Yeah, big up to all the Full Metal Rabbit crew.
We got the Rabbit Cuts LP.
Exactly.
Almost ready to drop. So that's featuring Superman Bam from Scientist of Sound, along with Akil, who was Jay Blast back in the day, along with members of New Flesh, Juice Salim, Ibu Blackitude, myself on production, and also Madhav Sharma, the classically trained actor from Calcutta, who was in East is East, Holby City, EastEnders. Yeah, he's been doing some of the narration because we got this new remix on the whole Watership Down flex.
Well, big up to all them, and I'll tell you what, we are in for a treat at the end of this interview, so make sure you wait until the end, because basically the cab roof is going to be lit. And I also actually, first thing I want to do, Keith, as well, is give a big shout out to Blade.
Yes.
For hooking us up. Big up to Blade.
Yeah, big up Blade. Long time, another one caught the hip-hop bug. And that's the thing with this hip-hop bug, there is no cure. I've never been able to shake it, just to accept it as a permanent condition.
We got the fever, early doors, isn't it?
Yeah, there ain't no cure.
There ain't no cure. We're in this thing for life. But yeah, big up to Blade, and anyone watching this, please go and check out Blade's channel as well, because he's doing amazing things. But I'll tell you what, Keith, let's kick this straight off. Where are you actually from, and what was it like, growing up as a young, kid?
Right, yeah. Well, I grew up. I was born in York and grew up in York. Then I spent some time in Leeds, and then after that, I was kind of a bit everywhere, really. So, yeah, I suppose there's a saying, isn't there? No one's not from anywhere, but I suppose I kind of am.
Yeah, you're kind of like a hobo.
Yeah. That kind of shape-shifting.
Like a chameleon, you're fitting in.
Yeah.
Fitting in everywhere.
Polymath is the word I use. Because shape-shifting goes into all kind of other things. So let's go with the polymathing. Let's go polymathing today.
Let's go with that. And in terms of, art at school, was you big into art at school? Was you sketching like logos or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably my favourite lesson at school. I didn't really like school, so the art lessons were somewhere where I could thrive and not feel like I'm kind of an outcast or something. So art was that way. In fact, I think in art lessons, a lot of the kids, even the ones who didn't like me, used to offer me money. Oh, can you draw me a hand? Can you draw me a leg? And to pass their page over, and I'd be able to hustle some money out of it, just because people who couldn't draw just didn't want to hand something in that was not very good. So I'll be kind of doing other people's art and going, yeah, I'll see you at the tuck shop later.
So you caught that creative, art from early doors. Was you doing like logos as well, like Cause...
Yeah, well, the earliest I knew about what I was doing with art was my nan used to take me for walks down this place called the Stony Lane. I think it was actually called Landing Lane, which was connected to fishing, and there used to be all these cables and electric pylons and things like that, and I used to kind of get back to hers and just sit there drawing them and be like, oh, what's all this? You're drawing all this? And I'm like, yeah, just stuff from the walk. And I always seem to tap into these kind of like objects that were kind of unnatural, like what are those?
So your brain was kind of on that level back then.
That was it,
on the way of thinking.
And I think that DIY graffiti kind of approach was there early on, because I wanted a Sabutio, and I never got it for Christmas. I had Sabutio on this list, and I never got it. And I think my mum, my dad went out, and I kind of turned the rug over, and I drew a football pitch on the rug, and I used marbles and Star Wars figures, and then when I heard them coming out, I turned the rug back over, so no one knew about that. It was my little secret. So I was kind of already on that kind of grassroots DIY kind of how can I make something happen from nothing? That was kind of there. But yeah, primary school, probably 8 or 9 years old, I ended up sitting next to this, when they choose your seating, and I got this guy called Dan Guest, and he was a mod, and he'd have all these scooter badges. He had everything. I'm like, what's East Grinstead Scooter Rally? What's that? And then he'd bring in these magazines called Scooter Mania. So this kind of links back in a bit later on, really. But obviously everyone was into customizing scooters, and this magazine was showing all the best of the customized scooters in the rallies, and it was all that airbrushing thing. And so we would use text, like you might have something from the Who or something like Pinball Wizard, and then you'd have all the pinball machines and stuff from the scene airbrushed in, but they liked the fonts and text as well. And it's a moving vehicle, so when he got round to seeing art on New York subway trains with the lettering, like, what's the scene piece? Is it Big and Beautiful? And then you got there's a naked lady, whatever. To me, that was just like completely the same as what I was seeing on scooters in these magazines. And I think I did go to some scooter rallies as well, because York had a big scooter rally in one of the car parks, and I'd just be walking around there looking at all these crazy scooter designs and going, oh, look at that one, wow, look at this one. So I think when the UK style evolved into that more airbrushing 2000 AD looking thing, to me that was already going in that direction, like using spray paint almost like an airbrush. And it links back to those early days. But yeah, in terms of writing, I was copying every badge he had on, whether it be Purple Hearts, Secret Affair, the Who, the Jam, just all of these things, trying to copy the logos. Like, the Who, Maximum R&B with the arrow coming off the O. you're getting this early insight into adding arrows to letters and, you know, flexing fonts and stuff. And
Yeah, because them fonts as well, like on the font style, them fonts were amazing, weren't they?
And and the way iconism was kind of used with it, even like the target in the mod badge, you might have the jam, but it would be reimposed over like the red, white, and blue target or something. And there's that whole thing of mod, as in a mod in a fashionista sense, but you had that MOD mod thing attached to it, so it's kind of interesting. And yeah, you had so many badges, and even the Lambretta logo with the underline, and the Vespa had a different logo, all these different things. And there was companies like AF Race Speed who was tuning up scooters, I think they were out towards Scarborough or something. So I'm just like, I just sit there picking his brains, going, what's that badge from? What's that one? What's Mod's Mayday 79, that poster you've got in your bedroom? And it's funny because when the braking thing came in, he was actually braking at the time. He didn't stick around into it. And then I think he got out of it and he sold me all his records or something. Most of it was Sugar Hill stuff. And I was more wanting the electro stuff. But
another thing as well, I mean, was you growing up in the 70s on that kind of mod music as well?
Yeah, in the 70s, I think the first machine I had was just a tape recorder. So I'd just tape off the radio. So I used to sit up listening to the radio. So early stuff I was into, I think the first tape I probably bought for that machine. Because before that, my dad had a record player and he had records and he was just buying pop stuff, do you know what I mean? So I think the first thing I bought was probably The Police, Zenyatta Mondata, which funnily enough became a sample for Chill Bob G. But it was Voices Inside My Head, the do-do-do-do.
Voices inside my head.
That's the one. But it was used by 45 King with Chill Bob G, and I remember hearing that and thinking, wow, hang on, that's just taken straight off The Police.
That's a tune, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, them records back then as well, I think you'll agree, some of them, the artwork on those records were amazing as well, weren't they?
Oh, totally. Just
especially some of them rock, the Iron Maiden. Remember the Iron Maiden character? I
mean, you've got the music playing, but you're always there with the sleeve, looking at the credits, and looking at the design and the branding and everything, and that goes
package,
way back.
It's
the centre of the label on a record and everything, and even like them early hip hop things. It's just sometimes you buy stuff for the label just because the colours or something, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I thought that would be better than it was, but I like the label anyway.
And was you seeing much graff back in the 70s, growing up in the 70s? Like, was you seeing much graff on the streets? Like, football kind of graff?
Yeah, football,
what
teams.
Was that big with, like, what, Leeds back in your way?
LUFC, you'd still see LFC or Everton or other teams that were nowhere near you on there, Man United, whatever, you'd see all these football team abbreviations everywhere, and things like mods. And I used to do graffiti with the logos and do the jam or whatever, and paint them around. And I think the school toilets at the time were probably pretty hammered, but back then you had those desks with the inkwells, and the lids were always detached, always taken off. Everything was vandalised.
Do you remember getting the compass with the metal point and scribing your name in the desk?
Scratched names. Every desk was scratched names or names of bands or whatever. Yeah, that was already there. So when you saw the graffiti thing and understood that, and through something like the Malcolm McLaren video with Dundee doing the Buffalo piece, whatever, and you're just watching this, like, hang on, he's painting letters with spray paint, and he's colouring it in, and you're trying to work it out. I remember the first pieces I ever did, got it completely wrong. Did the outline first, then filled it in, made a complete mess. Just writing things like break or hip hop.
A wild. Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. So that's moving on. Let's move on to this question now. So the big question is, how did you get into hip hop and into that kind of culture? Was you
kids at school were
was
into
you like me? You was into the electro first?
I remember doing breaking before I knew anything about hip hop. Copying this guy who's doing this thing where you whip your leg and jump over. It's called a leg whip. I don't even know anything about breaking. It was just like a gymnastic thing. And I remember trying to copy that. And then later down the line, you see bits of breaking on TV, whatever. And even if it was something like, I remember being quite wowed by the break machine video, just on the cardboard in the street.
Well, when they done that move, when they put their hand in the middle of the floor and spam round.
Yeah, and that whole idea of like, hang on, people can just put some cardboard down, and they're spinning on their back and doing these different things, and then you're like, ooh, street dance and this whole thing around it. And I remember being quite taken by that. That was one of those things that cemented and joined the dots along with all the kind of other films.
Yeah, of course, the Wild Styles and all that.
Yeah.
Because really our main source of where we was Top of the Pops, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we were seeing them videos like,
and that stood out from everything else that was on the program. You'd have all the normal, the usual pop music, and then that's coming on. I'm like, well, who are these guys with the shades on and tracksuits, all matching tracksuits with the cardboard? I'm like, I think I just love the DIY aspect of it. It's like, oh yeah, you don't want to wreck your clothes on concrete, so put some cardboard down and you can spin on it, or line or whatever. But I think they were more on the cardboard thing, which was very similar to the scene on what's the Rocksteady scene on that film Flashdance. Yeah, stuff like that. But like I said, music-wise, I'd be sat listening to this little radio that had a little tape machine, and I'd sit there waiting for things to record. I'd just record anything that was interesting, not particularly hip-hop at the time, but I did catch Planet Rock sometime around, was it 83? And I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, Planet Rock was kind of like late 82.
Yeah, because I was talking
summer of 82, I think that come out.
I think we were talking on one of the lives that I did. I had Daz IQ on there and Bunny Bread, and we were all talking about the Planet Rock thing. And one of the things Daz IQ said that when he first heard it, didn't like it. But then when he heard it on a sound system, then he's like, right, I'm straight down the record shop. I need that record.
It really popped, didn't it? And I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, like, I was listening to records like, Sugar Hill Gang and Curtis Blow and all that, late 79, early 80s. But for me, it was the electro funk, tracks like Planet Rock, Pat Jam, Space is the Place,
That was when we knew we were moving into a new territory and there was a new culture emerging. When I heard the Sugar Hill stuff, I struggled to differentiate it from some of the late 70s disco stuff, like Ring My Bell and Good Times and all that, which became appropriated by Grandmaster Flash anyway. But to me it didn't seem to have a clear departure away from that late disco sound, but the electro stuff did. And then as the breaking scene and everything, graffiti was being associated more with music when it became electro, I think that's when it really joined all the dots.
Can you remember some of them early electro tracks that really kind of blew you away? Because it was tracks like Planet Rock and Rock at Your Own Risk, those Planet Patrol, those kind of tracks where I would hear it and I would get goosebumps.
Yeah.
For the first time,
and looking for the perfect beat.
The hair on my arms would stand up.
It was looking for the perfect beat as well. Because I remember some of the first records I got the Planet Rock on 21.
21 records, yeah.
Not the Tommy Boy version, but the 21
records, that's right.
The 12-inch single. And then I think I got the other one that had Planet Patrol on the other side, with Rock at Your Own Risk on and stuff. And then they were the
Perfect Beat album. Do you remember the Perfect Beat album?
I remember that one. And then later they had the Tommy Boy Greatest Beats, which had Globe and WizKid on and stuff. So it was constantly, this universe was constantly expanding. And plus you had the Electro series.
Street Sounds.
So you'd be looking at that, but you're already kind of conditioned for that through some of the electro soul stuff that was coming out using the 808 machines and stuff. So you kind of, and even Phil Collins was using 808s, and so the pop sound was already using these things, and it was amazing. I think the 808, the way that really pushed things with Egyptian Lover and everything else.
And not just the 808. I'll tell you another big thing which was also doing it as well, because I was a new romantic, a futurist.
Yeah.
So I was into that futuristic sound.
Yeah.
So on a lot of those electro tracks, or probably all of them, they also used the synthesizer.
Yeah, like Human League, Depeche Mode, and all of that early pop stuff, especially the British pop stuff, New Order and all of that. You know, there was all these things going on. But then even now I'm learning things I didn't know about. There was stuff coming out of Italy in the 70s that sounded like that. And you're hearing all these comparisons. It's like there's just too much music out there. You're learning stuff from another country was doing similar stuff in the mid 70s or something, and you're like, wow, that's like they've got a proto 1980 sound going on there. And I can never remember a lot of the names because I've got friends who collect more of that stuff than me.
They're serious record collectors.
Yeah,
they know every single title, the year it come out. Proper.
And then they'll tap me for more knowledge of drum breaks or funk stuff or jazz stuff or Latin or something. But there are people who are really into that kind of like new age, new romantic kind of sound. So yeah, I think by the time you got the electro thing, that futuristic thing, to me really brought me back. Even though I was still a young kid, maybe 11, 12 years old, it brought me back to being even younger, like 7 years old in the 70s, seeing Star Wars, the movie, for the first time. Buck Rogers and all this kind of sci-fi thing.
Space 1999.
Yep, totally, 100%. So
the Tomorrow People, do you remember that?
Tomorrow People.
Yeah.
It rings a bell. I forgot
No, you would know it.
I don't know if I probably know if I saw it. But Buck Rogers on a Saturday morning was a big thing, and even the obvious things like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'll tell you what as well, Keith, what soundtracks as well. Amazing soundtracks.
Oh yeah, all the Blade Runners, Tron. Oh, it goes on. Well, you know, we can go on for hours about these things. These are specifics. We can go down some rabbit holes with those.
For hours.
Yeah,
real geeky stuff. And in terms of like, we was lucky being from London. You know, we was growing up with pirate radio station, the big stations, obviously your LWRs, your Kiss, and then later on,
and
obviously
Mike Allen on Capitol.
Mike Allen. So how was you kind of getting to know about the new releases? Would it have been people like John Peel? Because John Peel was kind of, he was a big deal, wasn't he, to people obviously outside of London.
Well, I think before Mike Allen went more national and it became National Fresh, I think in London it was Allen's Army of Manoeuvres or something, and we always, anyone going to London, it's like, get some tapes of Mike Allen, Capitol Rap Show, and people would bring tape, and then everyone had overdubbed these tapes and they'd just distribute around the neighbourhood or whatever. But outside London, I do remember sitting up nights drawing, doing my outlines and designs and stuff, and then suddenly something would pick me, quick play record. And I remember him playing a Cookie Crew session where they were freestyling or rhyming over Globe and WizKid, Play That Beat. I remember that on John Peel. I remember the first time I heard Two Life Crew, Throw the D. That was on John Peel, and you know, I was just mad around that time because I've kind of derailed myself a little bit there, because it made me think about, even in those days I was trying to work out what the samples were. So on the Throw the D, I'm like, what's the Let's Dance thing, which is the Herman Kelly. So you're starting to look for these break beats and think you just around that time as you're starting to get this fascination and interest in where these sounds are coming from, even if it's Magic Disco Machine scratching or something. I think that's when we're just starting to get those ultimate breaks and beats on Street Beat Records over here. And I remember checking the Super Disco breaks, and I must have checked the wrong one, and I thought, that's crap. Probably not so much later. But at the time I think oh no, it weren't the right thing or whatever, because you're listening to these key bits with the drum breaks and you're just hearing this disco maybe go on too long, and you're not quite geared up with the patience to wait for that little drum break to come in later on or something, or you're playing the Rocket in My Pocket at the wrong speed, because that's the live version. I think it's speeded up, isn't it?
Yeah, so, it is, because you play the original, it's really slow.
You're trying to work all these things out. But
was you like me when you was going around, you know, digging in the crates or whatever, pulling the records out the sleeve? Was you looking for the groove in the record where you think that's where the break is? It was like, if you looked at the vinyl,
Yeah.
you could see like a groove. It wasn't like,
I think there was a period around then, but I think what did it for me was that David Toop book, the first edition of Rap Attack, because he had all this lists of records in the back, but he'd break down all the samples and reference them. So I'd be like out looking. I remember being out in the 80s looking for Bob James, Take Me to the Mardi Gras, and I think I found a copy of Bob James 1, and I turned it over and it had the other sleeves on, and I'm like, I can see the title, Take Me to the Mardi Gras, but it's not on here. And I got home and played it, and I heard Nautilus for the first time. I'm like, and I don't know if it had even been sampled. I think maybe Slick Rick Children's Story kind of played it in. The do-do-do-do-do-do. It's played in on it, but I didn't get the connection on that use of it. It was more later when Ultra was using it, and I think I heard Jazzy J using it. I can't remember the track name. I think it was that Jazzy J in the studio or whatever. But when I got it, I hadn't heard.
Run DMC,
yeah, it was before Eric B. Follow the Leader. So I was like, wow, I've got something here no one sampled, and I'm hearing all these elements. I'm like, this track just keeps on giving. There was just so many levels.
Well, I think you agree with me, Keith, that what hip hop done for us, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. There's something I've spoke about before, but you know, being like a producer, hip hop producer, or DJ into scratching up the breaks and all that. What hip hop done for us was expand our mind on other musical styles. So we could be listening to like kung fu films. We could be listening to soundtracks. You know,
Totally.
It totally opened our mind to all different styles of music. Could have been a classical.
I mean,
record.
I'd meet people from different cultures all the time. I remember one guy who was just a jazz collector, and he basically commissioned me. One of the walls I was painting was on the side of this bingo hall, but the guy who owned it was 10 years older than me. But he was chatting to me one day while I was painting out there, and he was going on about, yeah, I had a girlfriend in New York, and I was in New York for and I was photographing some of the trains coming into the station and all of that. And then I think we're talking about music. He's like, oh, I've got quite a lot of jazz records. I'd go round, and he just had a whole different thing. And I'm pulling out the Blackbirds, the usual stuff, whatever. And he's like, if you want to borrow them and go through them and all of that. And I'm like, thing is, if I borrow them, though, I probably try and keep them and not give you them back. And I don't want to have records that aren't mine, so I'm going to have to try and just find these myself so I own them. But then I'm coming across these crazy sleeves. And this is about 1988, 89. And I'm like, who's Sun Ra and the Orchestra? And he's going through, and he got this video, VHS, called A Joyful Noise. And I'm like, 1989, seeing, I'm still got the big hip-hop bug. I'm barely over electro, even though hip-hop's already changed and people are moving into rave now. But I'm seeing these people dressed up in costumes on a rooftop, talking about outer space and everything. And then I'm like, wow, this is more out there than George Clinton. And even when you saw Bam Batter and the Soul Sonic Force on Beach Street, dressed up in the Indian tribal gear and stuff.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah. Because when you saw that on Beach Street, it was like, wow, what are they wearing? You know. So with the Sun Ra thing, that was just a whole other, okay, I'm down a whole different rabbit hole now. And then in the early 90s, I'm kind of still caught up on these records, but don't quite know where they fit in. But when the first Gangstar album came out, and I'm like, right, people can use jazz samples, okay. It's not just James Brown and Jimmy Castor bunch, and you know, because for some years people were using a lot of the same samples and just using them differently. Like Eric B. and Rakim would still find a new way to use Funky Drummer, and it would sound heavy the way it was EQ'd or something, you know, or the Amen break, whatever, on King of the Beats or whatever. But and I remember some of the first production beyond Marley Marl was probably 45 King when it was starting to change then, because everybody loved that Marley sound with the crunchy snares and all of that. And that was the first kind of move away from electro where hip hop started to have its own sound with the drum machines. But a lot of the stuff like Skinny Boys and all these other groups, it sounded quite
Skinny
stiff.
Boys, yeah.
A lot of the production sounded very stiff on the drum machines, but Marley could make it bounce. And his swing on those beats and rhythms were ridiculous.
One
Frick
of
and
the
frack.
only-
Can you remember that?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have did it. A 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. The bounce on that, and it's just a simple SP12 just chop on a kick and a snare. I think it's just impeached the president, just chopped up, but the way he stretched it out and gave it a whole different time signature was amazing. But then 45 King, I think when he came out, he was starting to use different samples, and beyond that, then you get into critical beatdown, and there's this next level of kind of sampling going on. But yeah, 45 King and what he's doing with people like Lakim Shabazz, and he was using samples I hadn't heard before. Like even like, is it the I think he used the Dennis Kofi, didn't he? Is it the Black Belt Jones thing? Yeah, you're just thinking, oh, no one's touched that before. But it was a great period because different groups and different MCs or rappers had different producers, and everybody had their own sound. I think later on down the line in the 90s with Premier, I think a lot of people started just homing in on their favourite producer sound, and there was a lot of it. It was a big volume of stuff that was very similar. And I think it doesn't help that people are always going to end up using the same software as things pan out. You got the same DAW on the Logic or whatever it is you're using, and or the MPC, whatever. Everything sounds similar. But back in those early days, people were using different studios, different engineers, just everything sounded different. Big Daddy Kane didn't sound anything like anything on Tough City or. Or even Stetsasonic on Tommy Boy, or when De La Soul came out, or Tribe. Even Della and Tribe had completely different sounds, as did the Jungle Brothers, but they were all connected as the same family. But they never sounded like the same. They all had distinctive sounds at that time.
It was an incredible time for music, without a shadow of a doubt. And what they was coming up with what they had to use was on another level, because it's not like today, is it, where everything's really advanced, you can do things on a laptop. This was like different level in the studio.
Oh yeah, I can slam a USB turntable through a lead into my laptop and just take a whole track and then sit there working out what I want to chop up. I've got it all in. But back then with those Akai's, you got a certain amount of seconds and you're trying to keep your memory down. I remember sampling things speeded up to get the time down. 33 on 45, you're gaining a few seconds. So you can use a longer bit and then slow it down on the Akai.
Amazing producers, what was Mantronics?
Oh, how have I not said Mantronics yet? It is unbelievable.
He must have been one of the inspirations as well, wasn't it, Mantronics?
Yeah, I was heavily into Mantronic, even back from Bassline, which was just on the overhang of the electro period, but Bassline was heavy. But
Needle to the Groove,
because that was an Electro 9.
Who is it? I mean, yeah, Mantronics was incredible. I'll tell you what, let's go. Let's take
the Tina Rock stuff he did as well, and the Just Ice stuff.
TOI Rock, yeah.
Yeah, Mantronics, amazing. Yeah, he was just a wizard, technical wizard as well. He would use samples everyone was using, but he'd make them sound like there was something new, but it's the same sample. But it kind of tricked the mind into thinking that it's a totally new sound. But it is still scratching.
Amazing producer. One of my favourite producers of all time. I'll tell you what. Let's go back to the Graph days, because I love talking about the Graph as well. Obviously, back in 1984, Subway Art hit the streets, which is kind of like our Bible. We'd never really seen Graph in that way before, on that kind of scale and level. So when you first picked up your copy of Subway Art, what did you think?
Wow. I saw other people's first. I didn't get a copy straight away, because every time I went in the shop, it was gone. I mean, I don't know anyone who even paid for that book. It was the most stolen book in history ever. It must be.
I think it is.
And I remember...
Proper racked, wasn't it?
Yeah, you go around your friend's house, like, let me look at it.
I got mine from the library, Keith, and I cut out all the photographs and took it back. There was nothing left in it.
You actually took it back?
Yeah, there was about 2 pages left.
Wow. But what did you do, cut everything up and make a scrapbook?
Pretty much, yeah.
I think I did do that because I ended up getting a second copy. So I went from having no copy for ages, even though I was actively painting and everything, and everyone else had it, but I'm like, I haven't got round to getting it yet, or when I went in there wasn't any left or whatever, or they haven't ordered it back in yet or whatever. It's like people had got there before me and nabbed them all, because I think people would probably nick as many as I can and sell them at school or something, but and then in the end I ended up with multiples. So I'm like, oh, let me get another copy because I've kind of wrecked the spine and the pages are falling out, but and then I think that became a scrapbook, yeah.
But when that come out in '84, you know, that was kind of like a game changer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was there certain pieces and certain artists within Subway Art that kind of blew you away?
Because I'm like probably 11 or 12 years old at that
Yeah, because
point.
you're about 3-4 years younger than me, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm like a first generation writer not in America, in the UK.
Yeah.
But I was just younger than everybody. So the older people I was as active as everybody, but I didn't have the technical ability till maybe going on 88 maybe, you know. I just got a hell of a lot of crap junk pieces out there from the old days. So the Subway Art thing, to me, because I had that younger mind thing, it was really a fine line between looking at it as vandalism. I couldn't even look at any of it, even the tags, as vandalism, because it just looks so elaborate. And I'm like looking at professional muralists, but it's done without permission. It was weird.
And on these trains.
Yeah, a Dondi or a Lee Ho car. I'm like, how do you even do that? This is some professional mural thing, but they've not got permission, and the authorities are after them. I'm like, how do I make sense of this? How the hell are you doing that without permission? But they look like giants in there. They look like adults to me. When you see pictures of Case 2 or Quick, or they look like adults to someone who's like 11 or 12, you know. So yeah, it was really felt like I was looking at something that was untouchable.
It really was.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you was like me, but I was trying to copy certain styles and people's. I know, like part of hip hop, you don't buy.
Yeah.
But it was very difficult for us because we'd never really properly seen it on that scale.
We were trying to bite as young kids, but not bite. Like, how can I copy that, but not copy?
Have your own style on it.
I used to turn stuff upside down and go, hang on, does that make a good B? Even though it's an R turned the other way up, whatever. If I change that bit, maybe that can work. You know, you just sit there. I mean, I spent most of my school lessons, to be honest, not getting an education at school, because I just spent the whole time doing outlines in my exercise books. And it got to the point where the teachers just couldn't be bothered telling me anymore, and it'd be, oh, just leave him. Oh, but miss, he's just drawing, he's not doing it. It's like, just leave him.
Leave him to it.
Yeah, and I'd just turn up to the lesson with that whole thing. Right, cool. As soon as I walk in the classroom, sit down. Right, next outline. I'd already moved on, you know.
You caught the fever. That's when
did.
you really caught the fever.
Yeah, because I was younger and everybody else seemed so untouchable, on a pedestal. I was always like, I've got to work harder, I've got to work harder. And, yeah, it was a bug that just got you.
In terms of films as well, I'm sure you agree as well that Wild Style, when that came out in 1983, that was really the kind of the first film that we were seeing where all the elements had come together. So we were seeing breaking, popping, we were seeing graph, we were seeing the DJ on the wheels of steel cutting up the vinyl. That had a huge impact on me. Did that have a big impact on you, Wild Style?
No, I think it had a later impact on me. I did see that one when it first came out. It was one of them where I kept finding the soundtrack. I'm like, still need to see this film, and I think it did come on at BBC 2 or Channel 4 really late one night around the Christmas period when the TV programme changes slightly. They managed to squeeze it on, but I've been wanting to see it for ages. I think I was more Style Wars. through somebody who taped it off the TV.
Well, that's quite late then, because Star
I
Wars
missed
was
it when
like
it was originally aired, but someone had taped it, so I'd got it through
Star
that.
Wars. You'd seen Wild Style a little bit, a couple of years later.
I saw Wild Style. I didn't see Wild Style until about '87, actually.
Wow,
Which is weird. I just kept seeing the soundtrack and like, I need to see this film.
And what did you think when you see the film?
I felt it was quite retrospective by the time I saw it in '87. Because don't forget, Bad Meaning Good was out in '87.
Yeah, of course.
Bombing was out in '87. And we're already seeing Brim over here. We're already seeing Mode with Chrome Angels and Goldie doing futuristic stuff. You know, all these things were happening here already. From even Covent Garden after '85, you know.
I'll tell you what, you just touched on it, Star Wars. I mean, when Star Wars come out...
See Beach Street before Wild Style as
in
well.
In '84, yeah.
Because Beach Street was, you know, you had the little video shop where you hire it out for £1, you have a day or so, or you get fined, and you take it back. I remember doing that, and then maybe a week or two later, let me watch Beach Street again. I need to go down to the video shop and
then breakdance come out same year as well.
Baby. Everybody hated breakdance. It's just too... What's this ballet thing going on with it?
But I'll tell you what,
I just wanted to see the Ice-T
the
scene.
Ice-T Tibetan Jam section was amazing.
The Tibetan Jam in what's that club called? The something Tron, Radiotron. It was all about those scenes in the Radiotron for me, and then a lot of it was a bit kind of bit fame.
Star Wars was kind of, that was another game changer, wasn't it?
At the time, you're looking at it just because you're just obsessed with graffiti. But when you look at it now, man, that is a war reportage documentary. You know, that whole thing with cops trying to keep everybody out with
the two fences and the dogs.
Yeah, and even the sound bites like Scheme going, you know, I'm out here to bomb all lines, destroy all lines, period. You know, it's like you're watching a war reportage thing. And the whole cat thing. Again, you now got this other enemy as well as the transit authority, and, you know, and the whole way people are talking like, you know, what we're going to do about him, and having meetings, and it's like a classic piece of war reportage. It's quite amazing, really.
And the intro to Star Wars using that classical soundtrack at the start.
Yeah. Sets the...
And the way they film it, the train coming in when the light suddenly hits the piece.
Yeah.
That, you know, I mean, what an incredible piece of film, you know, filming as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's the way it clips out into, edits out into, is it Sugar Hill Gang? The way it just pops into this.
And then you see the breakers, like, I think it's Rocksteady, isn't it, at the beginning?
Yeah.
Crazy Legs doing a backflip or something.
Yeah, because it's just the trains creeping along in the tunnels with the sparks and the screeching of the brakes and everything.
And they left that in.
Yeah.
You can hear in little stuff. And do you remember the guy at the beginning when he said coming in from the like the third track or something like that? Is one of the they use his sample like saying calling the train in to come in. You'd pick up on it when you re-listen to it. But the whole Star Wars thing was another game changer, wasn't it? And I'm sure that probably got people like into graph as well.
Yeah, that was a game changer, definitely. It's just, I think we just see things from different perspectives. I mean, there's another film I want to talk about that when I look at it now from a mature lens, being an older, or I like to say wiser, you know, being in a position and looking at it from a different vantage point now, but now we're older and we've done all these things ourselves and we've got this experience. There's another film that really grabs me. It's basically, it's just the trains with screeching brakes, all the noises, and it's just film rolling. It's just the film is just rolling.
From the 70s?
Yeah, it's from the 70s.
Yeah, I know what you're on about.
And then halfway through, I think a bit of Charlie Mingus starts coming in with the train. So, and there's adverts in the background.
I've seen it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Should my name go by?
No. That's one as well, but it's not that one. It's got no narration.
Stations of the Elevated.
Stations of the Elevated. That's
you had Watching My Name Go By, which I think come out in 76,
Yeah.
and also Stations of the Elevated.
Stations of the Elevated.
Which come out in 81.
Yeah, and I mean, that for me is the ultimate documentary because you don't need a narration. The trains speak for themselves, and just the whole language of the way they're moving, even the sounds they're making as they're on the tracks and turning corners, and the brakes across the bridges, and
That's an
the sounds of them
film,
powering up. It's unbelievable because you haven't got there's no colouring or interference from anybody adding a narration, which then gives it a spin.
No one's talking, it's just filming.
Nobody's adding any spin or because you can have a bit of footage, but the minute there's a narration, the intention behind that narration can just automatically change the perception of what you're looking at. Let's say, for instance, you've got somebody talking on there on a really serious level, and these are masterpieces of art roll into the station, blah, blah, blah. But then you could have a children's presenter going, we're looking now at some graffiti. People paint these trains with these colourful pictures, and it cheeses the whole thing out. But but when you're void of any narration, and you're just letting the trains do what they do, and you're just watching what they are. I just found that film amazing, but just that little bit where the Minga starts creeping in.
I didn't see that till a lot later though, because that.
Yeah, no, it
I've
was
seen
later.
It
was later, but when I saw that, I was like, why have I never seen this? Why have I never seen this film?
And it's got that kind of jazzy kind of soundtrack to it.
Yeah, it's Charles Mingus, and it's even got the J-Roo sample on there. The dum bum ba dum bum 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 ba dum bum. Was it the Gangsta track with J-Roo on here where he goes, "I'll tap your jaw"? It's that. It's off that Charles Mingus track, and you hear it coming in the film, and it's like, oh, the Gangsta samples, Charlie Mingus.
Incredible, like documentary. I mean, or film. It's amazing.
But to have seen Style Wars with this marrying of the classical music at the beginning, and then the whole hip hop thing, so then see it mixed in from an earlier period with no narration, mixed with jazz.
Mind blowing.
Just took it to a whole other level.
Without a doubt. In terms of like your early, graph, what was you doing? Like hitting up walls within the local area?
Oh, when it first started, it was everywhere really.
Was you tagging much?
The first piece I did was in chalk. Didn't have any spray paint. Used coloured chalk on the side of a shopping arcade wall.
Chalk?
Which, for some reason, because it was undercover, stayed there for about a decade without fading. The rain didn't get to it. Just wanted to do it so urgently, but no one had any spray paint. So I got some chalks. So I'm like probably 10 or 11, So it was like, wow. And then I think the next following week, someone at the school, we were cutting school, and it's like, yeah, my dad's got some spray cans in the garage. I think there's some green and some purple. Grabbed these Dupli-Colors out of his dad's garage, and we did a hip-hop piece in about 3 colours or something. But
did you have a name back then? Did you come up with
not then?
A name?
No, just started doing it and just writing things, and then it was like, okay, I'll need a tag, don't I? And I think first tag might have been Dr. D, but then I think the tag I stuck with was Fleet, and the tags I was doing then were quite amazing, because I think I was copying what other people were doing, and you'd have this kind of flow, and then a curve off, say a T, whatever, you'd have like a hash sort of symbol in the middle, and then a Saturn above it, and stars around it. We used to decorate your name with all this clutter.
So it was very stylish back then.
Yeah, and I remember doing one, and one of the other kids saying, that takes you too long. It was just real amateur understanding of you can decorate the tag like you can decorate a piece on a train, if you know what I mean. And I'd shapes and Saturns and all kinds of stuff just hovering around it, like here's my name, but there's a whole bloody galaxy surrounding it, whatever. And it takes me 5 minutes to draw on the side of the garage, whatever. It's like, you'll get caught, hurry up. But I think it was Fleet first, and then me and some guys, we were kind of a breaking crew. At the same time, we were all doing the graffiti, so we just thought, I can't remember what the breaking crew might have been called, but we went with Sonic 4, and I think that was the breaking crew and the graffiti crew. And so we started just putting Sonic 4 up. So the first few pieces would have been Sonic 4, and I remember we'd do things like nuclear blasts, like bombs coming out of a letter or something. But I've still got photos of some of the stuff. Some of it I didn't, because I didn't have a camera, so they were taken on one of those automatic wind things that you have to wind on with your fingers.
Yeah.
You remember
that quite
those?
hurt, didn't it, as you're trying to go through each one?
Yeah, then after time you take them to develop, and you just got quality control stickers all over them. It's like, that didn't come out, did it? Yeah, okay, so they don't work at night, or the flash just rebounds off the wall. You know, we were trying to work out, understand photography at a very young age, when at the same time we're trying to do things and not get caught. But one of the big ones we did was the local doctor's surgery had this big tiled wall outside at the entrance, probably like 4 meters by 2 to 3 meters, and we just did a massive sonic 4 on that, and that upset a lot of people in the neighborhood. And I think word got out. I think one of the kids in my class, his dad was the local policeman, and he knew that was me. And I remember people always saying, you know, Alwyn Smith's after you, he's got his eye on you. And there'd be like elders going, oh, I know you, I know where you live, I know your dad. Yeah, Alwyn Smith's after you, you know. That doctor said, yeah, how much it costs for them to clean it off. And there's a few things we'd done in the area near it. It was very close to where we did that first hip-hop piece, and then over the year it had become another one and another one. And then a lot of places around town we were always looking for spots. But what was happening is there was a kid in the crew called Mike Smith. He was writing Extro, and he was older than us. So he was like 16, we were like going on 12, 13. So he's like the older kid, so he would egg everybody on, right, we're doing that. And then we'd get there, and if anybody was a bit like, yeah, it looks a bit hot, he'd be like, I don't want to hear none of that, we're doing it. No one shits out. So we did some quite mad things, and we did this big wall in a town centre with a dragon character breathing out smoke. And then I'd done the letters. Wow. The letters said puff. It was like a puff of smoke. And then there was a knight with a sword or something. So this proper really trying to copy Subway Art Days still. No development in style or artistry. And so we did this, slept out for the night. And then later that day we'd gone and nicking milk off doorsteps. And I don't know, I made myself sick or whatever, so I go sick. I went home because we'd been up all night, and I think my belly had just gone funny. And so we'd done that piece. I thought it was done. But then after I went, there was a school we'd been in 2 weeks earlier, the abandoned school. We used to break in and do pieces in there, like, you know, the big gym walls. Because it was abandoned, you just had these perfect, clean white walls to just do what you want. No one's coming in there, you got to go up a fire escape through a broken board. So you were in there, it's cool, and you can hear if someone's coming in. So we'd done that, but they decided to do that after I'd left and go back there. Let's do another one down there. Now somebody decided to do the dragon character again. So the same characters in there. A week later, front page of the Yorkshire Evening Press, got that dragon character, sign of the arsonist. Now some local kid who's a bit of a wild one set the school on fire, but the dragon didn't burn. And then the other piece we'd done before that on this town centre one, we wanted it viewable through York's historic wall so all the tourists can see it. They thought that someone was going to set that on fire, so they thought it was a sign of an arsonist. Oh, we had CID come in to the classrooms. I think the French teacher grassed us up because we talked about it at school before that had happened. Oh yeah, we did that or whatever. We were, yeah, front page of the paper or whatever. Because I remember Mike, the older one, we were meeting him on this park, and he was just like, evening press, evening press, evening press. And it was just like, there was a bit of a boastfulness going on about it. But when the CID board was all in whatever, we'd all got collared, but they didn't get Mike. Mike being older than us, no one's going to say his name. So I remember after that, he was like, no, I better have mentioned me. He's like, no one said your name, you're clear. Now we've got to paint the wall. Our punishment, we got away with no fine. The punishment was to paint the wall white. But it took us a hell of a long time for them to establish we weren't the arsonists.
What a nightmare.
So the arson thing was the problem. So yeah, some of my early experiences with the early Grafham bombing. But I say you get away with like some, you know, amazing missions, and then you do this crappy little tag at a bus stop, and a cop car would pull up right as you're doing it. You nicked, and it's like, do you know what I mean? It's crappiest little pen or whatever, and you know, you just get nicked for the most stupidest thing.
Was there much of a bus sort of a tagging scene up there?
Probably around 86 that picked up because everyone was trying to copy Sheffield, because Sheffield had it really going on with the bombing, with the torch pens, the wides, and writing backwards so you can see it through the window at the other side.
Can you remember some of them big writers from Sheffield?
Yeah, I used to visit Sheffield a lot back then. 86, 87 I started going to Sheffield. My main contact there was Easel. So he I think at the time he was called the Style Council, named after the Style Council, Paul Wellsburn. But then he became TDK, and that was Easel, Des or Such. Because he used to write Such as well. He had the two tags, so they were ACT at the same time, Awesome Crime Team. Who else was in with them? I don't know. Sometimes it was 3 or 4 members, but then you'd have Mercury in there and +2. Or you seem to have a bit of a revolving lineup in TDK. But ACT was more of a bombing thing with Missed One, Risk, and Year. Who else? Care. Yeah, there was quite a few of them. But when I first went to Sheffield, the main spot was Kelvin Flats, and there was all the stuff under the Kelvin Flats. Which later got knocked down by Anne Whitcomb. But yeah, when you'd meet in Sheffield, I remember going to, everyone's meeting up in Sheffield, and you'd be like 5 writers, 10 writers, 15, then the next minute it was like 30, and you're walking through the centre and they had that hole in the road, which I think has gone now, but it's classic, like through these shopping arcades, you just had this, what was called a hole in the road. I think above it was a roundabout. It was just an open hole when you're underneath going through these kind of tunnels, almost like little veins in this. You're in this network of tunnels, and I remember there was some pieces had gone up somewhere. I can't remember which part of Sheffield, and everyone's just tagging along. So everybody all gets on this bus, maybe 30 people, and then we got to the spot. The bus stops. As we're all walking off the bus, and everybody had a hand in this. Everyone's laughing their head off, going, look, everyone's turning around. And there's still a few of them battering the outside, so the whole of the insides is obliterated. And everyone's just gone off on one, because no one's going to challenge that amount of writers. But the bus was just stopped dead for ages. It didn't drive off. The driver was like, how the hell am I going to explain this when I get the bus back? And oh, there was tons of people, and
it was a different time, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And I remember Manchester had these scenes, but Sheffield was worse. And when all the writers got together in Sheffield, it was chaos. And yeah, I mean, we had the beauty of having them coming over to York and stuff, and doing the same thing in York, especially at the Boston Loose event that I did. Well, I had everyone from Sheffield, Nottingham, Newcastle, everywhere, just Manchester, Birmingham, just killing that whole car park, and the Sainsbury's next door, which got the event closed down. But yeah, that's another story on the events.
In terms of like tagging, you know, was you trying to develop your own hand style as well? Was you quite into the hand style, or you wasn't really too bothered? Did you like it to look stylish?
From a tagging point of view, when I did do the tagging, the thing is, I'd do pieces. Then I'd do illegals, but I'd have an illegal name. I think one of the names I used back then was Turn. So part 2 would be the legal wall. Even though I'd slip up and tag it now and again and think, oh yeah, I should have done my other tag actually. But no one can read it. But I remember doing dubs and chromes under the name Turn and Too Much. And I think I'd moved the part around to say Trap 2 or something. I was always playing with it, so I would develop styles with them. But most of the time when I did bombing missions with some of the MTV guys, we weren't that bothered about what we were writing. We just wanted the town to look like Sheffield. And it was hard because York was a place where everything gets clean the next morning. That ain't running long. Whereas Sheffield, it got out of control.
Kind of lasted.
Yeah, I remember when you'd go to Sheffield or speak to someone on the phone on the landlines like you did back in the day. You speak to Easel and you get that broad Sheffield accent like, yeah, you'll know when you get to Sheffield, looks like Bronx. Looks like Bronx, lad. you know. So- and you're like, how do I associate Bronx with this Sheffield accent? Because it was broader than a York accent. And nowadays my accent's a multitude of everything. Depends where I am. If I go to Birmingham, I'm a Brummie in 5 minutes. Or...
Well, it's quite mad because I want to talk to you later because a lot of the UK was back in the 70s and the 80s was a very, very different place, and it was kind of very edgy.
Well, Shoreditch looks like this now, but it don't feel edgy. It's a different thing.
Yeah, it's all gentrified, isn't it?
Yeah, it just feels like, actually, me walking around Shoreditch is a bit like, God, is there any walls around here with nothing written on?
I know,
Can I see a normal piece of real estate? It's just like real estate in Shoreditch has to have street art or graffiti on it or tags on it or anything.
It's everywhere, isn't it?
It's like people just accept it like, oh, it's cool around here. Whereas back then it was like...
Totally different.
Society hated it. And it was a bit of a kind of a stick up to society to say, F you, we're treated like we don't fit in, have this, you know. And it's like, yeah, you think we can't paint proper pictures as well? You know, there was that kind of thing. And I think I went more down that road in the end. But yeah, there was that thing with me of like, you could kind of isolate these separate elements and keep them in different pockets. Like I can paint the legal wall. I can walk into a place. I remember walking into nightclubs about 14 years old with a book of photos because I'd seen like a front wall or a window display or whatever. I was walking to like nightclubs and all the managers and stuff would just turn around and be like, hey, you're too young to come in here. And I'm like, no, I'm not coming in here to drink. I just want to show you some artwork. What artwork? Yeah, I'll show you. And they just got this little kid going, yeah, you see that thing there? 50 quid, I'll paint that on there. But I know if you chuck in another 20 for the spray paint, blah blah blah, and then eventually start doing stuff, then people will start asking you to do stuff. So you'd be going to school like with pockets full of money.
It was going back to Mad Transit Vandals, MTV.
That was Seth who named it MTV.
What a great name! Was it after the MTV channel or?
No, I don't think it was. I don't think. I think MTV was coming out around then. It's a good question, actually. We made the link later, like, oh, MTV, look on telly, Mad Transit Vandals. It was a bit more like something that's appeared that we can ride along with now. So I can't remember if it was there before, but he came up with the name MTV, Mad Transit Vandals.
And who was in MTV?
Tons of people.
Real big crew.
But me
what from all over?
See, me and Seth were like in almost like different crews, different sides of the fence, but then we would come together and we made this, what's it called? Transit Times. We had a fanzine called Transit Times, which was just photos of stuff from wherever, trains, walls, whatever, legals, illegals. We just mixed it all up, and it was just a networking thing of like from photos and photo. You remember photo trading back in the day, whatever? Because Seth was really big on photo trading, but then I'd have stuff he didn't have. He'd have stuff I didn't have, so we'd get that broader mix of different stuff. From, you know, you'd have the bombing thing going on with the strong piecing thing at the same time. You know, everything was in there, and we'd, you know, sell them or whatever for a couple of quid, whatever. And I think at the time where I was working, I had access to a photocopy machine, and I'd run it through, and then I'd turn them in, put them back in, and run the other side, so you could do double-sided pages and all of that. And then I found you could change the toner and run them through again and put a tint and all kinds of stuff. But still have a few copies of those, just little staples at the side, whatever. You know, early graph magazines, because there wasn't really anything at the time. And I think we were all obsessed with the IGT Phase 2 things that opened out, the Subway Sun, IGT, International Get Hip Times and stuff. And that collage thing, we were always trying to cut things up and do the collage that Phase 2 and people were doing with the IGT.
There was some incredible hand styles back then as well, wasn't it, Keith? Can you remember some of them hand styles that you love to look at?
I thought hand styles in the 80s, mid 80s was brilliant. I mean, not so much late 80s, it changed, but the hand styles were more...
86,
yeah.
87.
Oh, some lovely hand styles back then. I mean, it's amazing. I think I have still got some kind of those small exercise book things with just people's tags in from like 86, 87. Because the early stuff wasn't as good, but like 86, 87 people had it down, and yeah, some of those tags were crisps. But it was a funny thing back then, you know, because we were pieces, but there was the tagging thing as well. And I was into those two sides of it. I remember going to Manchester and meeting Trash 2 from the Style Stars. He was like one of the best pieces in Manchester. And if you're walking along, and this was a thing back then, it's so different. I don't know how many people remember this, but you're walking along and you'd see a nice tag with a nice style, and I might say, "Hey, Trash, who's that, man? His style's wicked." And he'd be like, "Oh, just toys, man, they don't piece." Well, what? How can they do a tag like that and not be able to piece? It's like, oh, they're just taggers. And it's kind of weird, because where I was, the people I was around, everybody did a bit of everything. Whereas to be in somewhere like Manchester or whatever, and it's like, there's only a small amount of pieces, but there's a hell of a lot of taggers, and everything's bombed. And same in Sheffield, there were certain people who could piece, who were known for the pieces, and you'd go to see those pieces and take photos or whatever. But the amount of tagging, there was a hell of a lot of people who didn't bother piecing.
Tagging was huge,
great,
yeah.
Some of these people had great styles, but
I'll tell you one that I used to love looking at. It was very kind of original. Well, he was one of the first, I think the first person to see him do it was Artful Dodger. When he come out with that old English AD Artful Dodger.
We were talking about that at the LA exhibition over the river at called West Woodbury House. So it's Retner, Differ and Chaz. So that's interesting, because yeah, some of the first times we saw anybody doing tags in such a calligraphic way was Artful Dodger.
Style.
Yeah. Because I think I watched the Pops interview you sent me, and he's talking about
Pops.
Big up Pops, and
big up Pops.
He was on the back of a bus
in Nottingham
in the Old English script, and he was like, "Wow, imagine just getting on a bus and seeing that in your town." It's like, whoa, in them days as well. So it's like he'd proper gone in on like, yeah, there's tagging, but there's professional calligrapher.
It must have taken him ages.
But it's done illegal in the same manner as yours, but just might have taken me a bit longer. But you know, but it's like, wow, that must have been mind blowing to just see that on the back of a bus. That's just like seeing some treasure with gold just gleaming. It's like, what is that on the back of the bus? But yeah, Artful
It was
Dodger.
like looking at a gold nugget, wasn't it? It was like, yeah, it was kind of like on an epic level.
Oh yeah, some Indiana Jones shit.
And in terms of photorealism,
Yeah.
I know a big inspiration to you is when you, and I think it was Pops as well, wasn't it? When you see that Marilyn Monroe piece.
Not together at the same time, but I remember going to Sheffield to Easel's, because Easel, he did live on the Kelvin Flats, but at the time when I went then, he was living with his parents. His parents lived at the side of a estate there was some small housing estates next to the Kelvin Flats. So the Kelvin Flats were like, is it Park Hill? You know, the ones that are just like big pieces of cardboard winding like in a zigzag. I don't know, I haven't got anything I can hold up, but they're like that with walkways, and they zigzag across the landscape, and probably 10, 12 stories. Kelvin Flats was the same kind of estate as that, and underneath, under the pillars and stuff, there's this piece by Mercury. He mainly wrote Mercury. It was the only thing I saw him do like that, and it's just there.
What, Marilyn Monroe?
He'd done a portrait of Marilyn Monroe.
What, her face or her whole body?
Her face.
The face.
So it's basically all the kind of car paint beiges, but at the time probably more emphasis on the lips with the red lipstick, and I suppose it's the makeup that made painting women's faces kind of jump in that way, because no one had really mastered a way to get really good shading with midtones, and
the cans that you had at the time.
There wasn't a lot of range. It was like Sierra beige, Nevada beige was the mid-tone, russet brown I think was the the deepest spots, and then you go in with the black on the heavy bits. But even then, it was a bit more simple, and it was the first time I'd seen anybody really do photorealism in that way. But the link that comes to mind when I think about it now is in 1985, there was the Freestyle 85 show, and Mo did this portrait of Christine.
That's right.
And it's not quite photorealism, but the way he'd done by turning the cans upside down, and the way he'd used the inverse to do the detail around the eyes and the lips was very similar. You could almost see like Mercury maybe tried that, but got a picture of Marilyn Monroe. Because he had the picture, he went by that. So then I saw that, and then I remember talking to Pops, and he's like, yeah, I saw that. And then I think it's 88 a year later. So that Marilyn Monroe was 87, and 88, I think I seen Pops at Brilliant, and it was a terrible year at the Brilliant thing, because it pissed it down with rain. And some people were undercover and some people were outside, and Pops was on an outside one. So it was a Pops piece, a self-portrait kind of b-boy character, but he'd done a Joanna Lumley. And that was the first time I saw him do it. And then he did in 89 Brilliant, he did, I think, 4 women's faces, but it was just women's faces, so it was portraits. So I think at the time, because I was a bit younger, I was still trying to do it, but Pops was better at it. So it's 1990 when I did a portrait of Roy Ayers. Something just clicked, because it wasn't a woman's face. I just had to paint in a different way. I don't know how I figured it out, and then I just worked out how to do all the midtones, and then that was it. I just went off on one. Before that, I was trying to do the same thing as Pops was doing or whatever with women's faces. Back then it was portraits. It was more later, 91, when I did things like I did a Frankie Howard screaming with some ladybirds off the Bob James sleeve, and I was collaging things. So I was doing hands and insects and other things in a realistic fashion, and I started calling it photorealism. I remember at the time I was around some people who weren't from graffiti, who were in a kind of art thing, and they were like, we can see what you're doing is skillful, but we want to keep it in the graffiti box, please, because you make us nervous almost, that kind of thing. And I think it was like, you can't call it photorealism, there's already photorealism in art. And lo and behold, years later, it's stuck. And that whole thing has been called photorealism, like no one ever has any idea where that began, but I know there was no one else using that phrase when I started using it, because I was just trying to I was trying to intellectualize my work. So I was looking at what Ramel Z was doing with his theories, and so I said I have to attach something to this, because it's not just portraits. Back then it was you doing a portrait. Oh, it's a piece with a portrait, or oh, it's just a portrait.
It's incredible what you and Pops 100.
Probably Chris as well was doing faces more than an illustrative way.
Jump 2, yeah.
He was there, always bubbling, waiting for different people to come in at different stages and just add this on it and someone adding that on it. But
I'm going to be interviewing Jump 2 pretty soon. But I also want to say I interviewed Pops 100. Big up to Pops.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. So anyone watching this, please also check out Pops 100 interview, because it's on another level.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Big up to Pops.
Yeah, and Mercury as well, because I think, when me and Pops was talking about it, just as a kind of like head to head, we were like, yeah, the Mercury piece. And it was like, yeah, when I saw that, and it was like, it was one of them moments where you've got all these kind of London-style-y buntlack things going on under there in Sheffield, because that was just the thing back then, and it was a bit like, next to it you had an easel in all the kind of pink, rose pink buntlack and lilac, and you had a ninja turtle on one side or whatever, and then the other side, the wall was like the Marilyn Monroe's on this side, and it's just that. And it was annoying as well, because no one ever really barely saw it without writing on it. There was little marker pen scribbles on it, and I don't think everybody always says, have you ever seen a clean shot of that? I'm like, no one's got it without bloody some little kids have drawn on it with some marker pen on the mouth.
I spoke
added
to
some teeth or something.
I spoke to Pritt Kelsey. Big up to Pritt.
Yeah,
I spoke to him,
yeah.
I speak to Pritt very regular, and he was saying that there was a canvas you done. It was like a half monkey, half human face.
Yeah, I still own it. I still have it.
Have you?
Yeah.
And Prit said to me, you know, that inspired Prit to get on that kind of artistry, photorealism kind of sort of style. He said it blew him away.
Yeah, no, I remember Prit. I remember him doing it back in the day. I don't know if he even paints anymore. I know he does a lot of film stuff. You know, I kind of bump into him here and there at different events and stuff over the years. And but I think I remember him was backstage filming Ultra in Clapham one time.
Prit's wicked producer. He's a producer, music producer and filmmaker.
Yeah.
It's amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
Keith, your artwork is on literally on another level. I'll tell you what. Let's actually also one thing I want to say as well. Your name PART2.
Yeah.
How did that come around?
I liked the number 2. I wanted something with a 2 on the end.
There was a lot of 2s back then.
Phase 2 was a big influence back then. Case 2.
Case 2.
Phase 2 and Case 2 were a big factor back then because my tag before that was Fleet, and then I had a tag after that called Digital Death, as in DEF. And it's based off the record Death Momentum. That was like an LA thing about 85, whatever. So it was like, we are DEF, Digital Electronic Force. So that was what Digital Electronic Force, whatever, featuring DJ 3D. So I got the tag from that basically, and then I just needed something with a 2 on there, and then I knew Mode 2, and something just came PART2. I thought, yeah, not heard that before. Let's go with that. And then some years later, I think it was probably end of 87, 88, when Spray Can Art dropped, and there's one wall in there with A1, and there's a piece that said Part, and I'm looking at it like, why does that say Part? Please tell me someone else don't have that name. But it didn't seem to indicate Part 1 or Part 2, it was just Part. Because occasionally I didn't do 2s on my pieces, I'd just do the PART and put the characters on. And, you know, sometimes I did a 2, sometimes I just went with Part. And then, yeah, I'd meet Americans after that. I remember meeting A1 in Britain, and he's talking to me for 10 minutes, and he just stops what he's saying and went, oh, you do know there's a Part 1 in New York? I'm like, yeah. Oh, okay.
No, yeah.
And then he'd carry on talking.
Yeah.
And then I think Fable from Rocksteady did it to me in France. Oh, you know there's a Part 1 in New York? I'm like, yeah. No, I've heard this before, yeah. And by then, we're already seeing Part 1 stuff. But at the time, up to like when I started the tag, probably end of 86, Part 2. And at the time, you didn't see any part pieces. There was nothing in Subway Art or Style Wars or whatever, so you had no reference points. Obviously, years later, you found out he'd done a lot of trains and was bigger than those bits documentation made out.
I've interviewed part 1.
But I'm just glad I picked a 2.
Yeah. Imagine if you put part
Otherwise,
1.
it's one of them like, you need to change a tag, and then you end up, do I want those arguments with people or do I change it?
Yeah, so it's good that you come out with a 2. But yeah, big up to Part 1 as well, he's in New York.
I've never met Part 1, but big up.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy, an absolute legend.
You're in good company.
So I've interviewed Part 1, now we've got Part 2 in the cab. I was going to say to you as well, when is the first time you come to London and what did you think?
But London, I think it was coming to Covent Garden not long after 85. I think it was 86, because I was mad young. And I think I had this little building society account. And I think I'd got access to it to get a BMX. And it was just some bits my old man had saved up. There weren't much in it. But there was enough in it to get a child train fare to London and pay for a friend because he had no money. So he was like, look, I'll get you train fare. Come on. So we went to Covent Garden and that was amazing. Coming out of Covent Garden, I think you go right and then the first left street, you turn left onto that street, and as you're approaching, on the left-hand side before the main central building in Covent Garden, I just saw the Jubilee piece by Pride. And I was just looking at the fades on it, because when you're seeing that, that's when you're really seeing graffiti evolve from just the big chunky filling with the chunky outline that you saw on the New York trains or whatever. This is ahead of Spray Can Art, so you've not really seen the more refined Vulcan stuff in the Hall of Fame or T-Kid's more refined stuff. You're seeing the T-Kid in Covent Garden, but the only T-Kid I think in Subway Art is an older train. The style's not as evolved as it became. So to see that Jubilee piece then with the fades and everything.
Beautiful,
and the
wasn't it?
shines as well were different, because in New York it was like cross, little cross. Here it was skinny line, flare. And yeah, it was different. That really changed the game. I think everybody across the country started changing how they approached graffiti styles. From there, everyone was trying to, everyone called it London style or freestyle. I think that probably from the freestyle exhibition, people just started calling that style. Oh yeah, people are doing styles like this now, freestyle. And you get in blues and soul, you see the Zulu message piece, and you're starting to see that all these Chrome Angels influences going on. And I think there was a feature on stuff that was in Lambert Grove and blues and soul. So we're all starting to see these different pieces. I think the Mode Christine faces in an old blues and soul, actually, funnily enough. I mentioned that to Mode once. I haven't seen him for years. I always used to have kind of stop and chats and stuff. But I've been in London at the same time. We'd always be in London at the same time with him. But I remember talking to him about it, and he was a bit shocked. Like, do you think so? I'm like, yeah, I think that's got a kind of hand in early photorealism, early portraiture. And he's like, yeah, it was a bit cartoony though, but yeah, but the way it's faded and the shading on it, and yeah, he was struggling to take that one in. But I think he was one of them things for him where it's like, do you reckon?
Mode 2, you know, absolutely, and Chrome Angels, absolutely incredible crew.
I mean,
obviously Trailblazers.
There's a lot of people doing
that.
different things. I think people say I'm on all these different levels, and yeah, I suppose that's what I am. I'm on different levels. I work on different levels. But if we're talking about traditional graffiti, I don't care. Hands down, Mode 2, king. It's the best. Traditional graffiti, I don't think anything's ever touched him.
What, Mode 2?
Yeah. Traditional graffiti, 100% king. Hands down. It's not even an argument.
I mean, the Chrome Angels, absolutely, you know.
He's been able to keep changing that style. A bit like, you know, like our branding, the Coca-Cola logo always looks the same, but it has subtly changed over the years to fit the different periods it exists in. And Mode's work is like that. The early 85 stuff looks completely different to the late 80s Paris stuff, to the early 90s Paris stuff, and then even to the style when it's more like outlines in the spits, just hitting the cap from the back to get like broken spit lines and stuff, and the scribble fill-ins, and you know, even the stuff that's not even got outlines, that's really almost pastel. He's just been able to just keep that whole thing of his going, and it's always been his, and he's never gone off brand, but he's always explored. And I just think I don't think there's anyone out there with such a body and an output of work in a traditional graffiti sense of letters and characters.
Mode 2, you know, light years ahead. Also, the way of his thinking. I've interviewed Mode 2 as well, and he's an absolute diamond. But one thing we touched on before, actually, we was talking about this, was the way things were going futuristic.
Yeah.
Especially around like 86 and 87, you had that futuristic style. So you'd have like the Chrome Angels, obviously Mode 2 with his characters. You'd have like, you know, State of Art, non-stop.
Yeah.
You'd have Drone 2, Tough Arts. You'd have like London Giants, Juice Ski, with his incredible characters. Everything was kind of going really futuristic. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard to make total claims on where any particular thing may have started, whatever. And I think definitely Futura's got a hand in it in terms of that filling in. The Buntlack turning the cans upside down is definitely like, you could see how Futura had that early influence of coming to the UK quite early. Before Subway Art, Futura was here with the Clash, whatever. So anyone who catches glimpses of what Futura was doing on canvases, or even pieces with the fill-ins, if they're registering that, but let's say you've got Bando from Paris visiting London, meeting Mode and Pride and whatever, and then he's got that outline style going on, which is more or less like a Dondi type style. But then you're filling it in with a Futura thing. I think the way letters rose to points as well became very heavily copied across the UK. And that was something else. That was just something else. I think it's definitely that mixture of a Parisian with the influence of Future, and then maybe what Pride was doing from a graphic point of view. I think the way they put their heads together with their mode being very interested in the character element as well, and that they're trying out these different techniques.
It was mind blowing.
That whole thing came together with what was going on there, and then that whole thing blew up in Grove with Non-Stop, London Giants, All Star Kings, all of these things. Even Artful Dodger had the kind of bunt like upside down things going on, and with the calligraphy thing, and it just became a thing.
What did you think? What did you think of London Giants? I mean, for me, Jewski, Jap 302. He was one of them ones who was also on another level in terms of the characters. I mean, Jewski was incredible. His letter styles as well. He kind of had the full package.
I think there was a few of them.
Yeah, Shame 181.
Shame as well, yeah. It was an interesting style. Because it's funny looking at some of the early stuff as well, especially the early stuff in Hall of Fame in Ladbroke Grove or the Westbourne Pit. Just seeing some of those pieces where you can see the concrete still there. It's kind of interesting, and it's just really simple. There's a Shame piece, there's a Jap piece in there, and the emulsion doesn't even go to the top. And it was just a bit of white emulsion, drop the fades, pop the outline, highlight it, and usually a character with a helmet. But that's the thing, in New York you had B-boy characters and Vaughn Bode characters. By the time we'd gone past Chrome Angels, it was characters in space helmets and 2000 and AD, and you know, I don't know, Bunny was mad into his comics and stuff. He had the little vulture in the Adidas tracksuit in the Hall of Fame. It was different to the New York thing. It was very much more. We're going 2000 and AD now, Area 51. I think it was a comic that I used to get and take characters out of called Area 51. Named after the place, but the actual comic was Area 51, and it was like the big eyes, like what became manga. It was the first time I was really seeing stuff that became kind of that manga style, really. But it was a comic called Area 51. I don't know whatever happened to it. I've not got any of these comics anymore, but yeah, no, that futuristic style was quite mind-blowing. And
but all them are inspirational. Obviously your TCA, your Tough Arts, London Giants, Non-Stop, they Jump 2 as well. But also,
but it was kind of over by end of '87. It went back to. I think it's weird. Like we started copying the New York thing. It was all quite amateur and sloppy, and then when we saw the TCA stuff, it's like that whole bunt like London style, the futuristic looking styles with futuristic characters suddenly took shape. And it's like in the UK we had our own identity, and then it kind of changed. Some people stopped painting, the rave thing was coming in, and it's almost like people went back to the New York thing, but they were able to do it better. By '88 it was more tighter styles, like the proper Bronx styles, you know, you had the 3D and then you had the circle inside it and all of that. And you know, the highlights were a bit more sharp, more kind of chunkier, rather than the skinny drag the can really close and drop a glint and loads of fuzzes and glows, or will-o'-the-wisps, whatever we used to call them. Yeah, that thing by '88 was changing.
And also the paint, obviously, you know, 86, 87, the Buntlack was a kind of a game changer, wasn't it? Because before that was your car plans and all that.
Yeah, and the car plan was easy to nick, because we had a market in Leeds where they had them all in boxes, all the Duplicolor on the outside, especially the small cans, because they're easy to pick up because they're smaller. But we used to fill head bags and Skyway. The
head bags, yeah. Remember them, young tennis racket bags.
And we had a head bag, and we'd just be chucking them in because the people behind the counter can't see you when you're down there. And we just used to make sure a couple of us would ask them questions, and they'd be like, "Oh, can I have a look at that? What's that polyfiller there? Can I just check if that's the right one? It's for my dad." You know, and you just keep them distracted while we're doing it, and we just get away with that for weeks and months. Yeah, Buntlack, it's like you nick that a few times, yeah, then you go in the next time, it's like, oh, it's behind the counter, top shelf.
It was a different time, wasn't it, Keith? It was a different time.
I think that became a time, I think it was probably the same in every city, and I think that's when people did big raids, especially London riders were doing big raids on London Graphics Centre, like proper burglary, just getting in by bulk, because
Yeah,
no
London
other way
Graffiti
you
got
could
hit
get
back,
it.
didn't it?
Yeah, the Buntlack was a funny one, but yeah, it was a very highly sought after paint. Unless you were kind of like, I mean, I remember, I don't know where Goldie got it all from, but with Martin Jones, he had endless supplies of Buntlack. I don't know whether Martin paid for it, I don't know.
But that's another art.
Maybe there was, I think Martin might have mentioned that it was a little bit like, where did he get it from? I think, so there might have been a bit of stealing going on there, I don't know. Story about that, because I think this is interesting. This is an interesting vantage point to look at things from, because we're talking about the old London scene. So in the early years, everyone in the UK is influenced by the New York thing, but then we're all influenced by this new London thing coming out, and then it becomes more of a NYC, and then it somehow everything's global anyway after that into the 90s. But the thing that gave people outside of London a vantage point was, in London, people rarely came out of London and travelled anywhere. And I think if they did, it was a bit kind of bumpkins, you know. There was that kind of thing going on. And we'd go to London, take photos of stuff. And so we'd be seeing what's going on in London, but not many people in London knew what was going on outside London. But it was things like events like Bridlington, 1987.
That was really important, wasn't it? That was a pivotal moment, wasn't it,
'cause
Bridlington?
I was entered into that through a youth club, and we had no idea who was going to be there. It's called an International Street Art Graffiti Competition, 1987. So, you know, it's not been going that long from people first seeing Subway Art in 84, 85, and we're already at 87. So there's some of us are in a car park, but a lot of the bigger names were in the station. And I remember painting most of the day, whatever. And one of the guys in our crew, we entered as King Crew, spelt K-R-U, a bit like the Wrecking Crew or whatever. And we were doing this piece, absolute rubbish piece. But one of the guys kept wandering off, then he'd come back and he went, hey, you got to go over there and have a look, because it was a different location. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go for a walk, go in the station. But he's like saying, yeah, go and have a look. This guy's done a whole galaxy and a robot and everything. So I get into the station bit, and I see like a big T-Kid piece. I'm like, nice, nice. And there's a BBC, Bad Boys Crew from Paris, nice. There was a Skiffian piece, just a nice simple letter piece, not much background, nice. And I just suddenly see this piece. Heading for global destruction. Now the global, the letters are inside a bubble.
It's amazing.
And it looks airbrush. The background is now out of space. There's a planet with a ring around it, bits of stars. Then there's electricity with the Buntlack turned upside down. And then there's like a robot inside another shield thing. And that was the first time I'd seen Goldie. And at that time I'm like, I must have been maybe 13, young at that age, 87. And I'm just looking at that like, wow. So I've seen graffiti, I've seen London style, but I ain't seen this. This is like what I was seeing on those scooters going up with the airbrushing. And I'm like, wow. So you can actually use spray paint like an airbrush. And then go even further along that station platform, I see Vulcan with this crazy style. I'm like, what the hell is that? And he's there with this hood up. And I'm like, this guy looks like Vulcan. He looks like someone from a sci-fi movie. I'm like, this piece of man. I go to the next boards, Chrome, 1987. This character like this. And there's a female with makeup on the bottom. Then at the other side there's a blue monster coming out of the sewer, and I'm really seeing Mode's character thing leaping. But then you had more of a traditional feet style in Colt's chrome letters, but he had that Europe kind of French style thing going on with the serifs and everything, and the way the letters linked and joined up. I came away from that like, wow, I can't believe I've come away from that. I need to feel that experience again.
I wonder how Goldie done that.
How?
With spray paint, yeah, because it's so technical.
Oh no, it was done with spray paint, but that was the
Yeah.
thing. That's when you
I wonder how
realise,
he done it.
right, you
It's
start
so
turning
unique.
the can upside down till the pressure goes. And I remember when we first saw it, there were bits like a fade, but then it's cut sharp, and it almost looked like it's sprayed on cardboard. I remember trying to do stuff like that first on card, and I do remember going to the same year, because of seeing all of that Martin Jones had put on this exhibition at Birmingham Central Library called Rocking the City. Even using the word street art way back then. It was New York street art rocking the city, and I went there, and yeah, that show was Goldie 3D, then it was T-Kid, Brim, Bio, Vulcan, and so on. But even then, you know, we were going there. I was going there really to see the Goldie thing, and the Future World Machines piece was in there. And again, that kind of like almost like a firmament over the world word, like these letters. But it looked like the light was shining on it, you know, that whole thing. And I remember, I think I might have shown him some photos then, because Goldie was there. And I remember him looking at it, shaking his head, going, "You're using stencils, man." And it was like proper shame, you know. And it was like, right. So I thought he used stencil, and he didn't.
Well, it's so clean.
He just cut the other colour over the top with a sharp line. But the way there was so much of it, because he used to do these kind of geometric things, like I remember green letters and then there'd be reds, but it'd be a bar going through, and it was all sliced. And you think, well, it'd take you ages to do that by hand. So it made sense it was just pieces of cardboard or something, but it wasn't. And you kind of learn from that. But yeah, I think in general, those things like the Bridlington thing, no one from London was at that 87 event, not that I'm aware of, and it was the same in 88. I think 89, I remember seeing Artful Dodger there, and other people did come from London. But 87, after that, I just thought, how can so much amazing energy be in such one place, seeing these people paint for the first time and everything, and seeing people from around the country you never heard of that were really fucking strong. It's like, how do you recreate that? So I thought, I need to organise an event. And I was with a friend called Mossy, and he wrote Maze at the time. It was like, let's go to the City Leisure Services. Where's a good spot then? And we just kept thinking, Fossbank car park, it's a multi-storey car park with a load of levels. There's loads of walls in there. And the security is quite hard in there. Every time we've tried to paint there, you get chased out. We've never been able to get a proper piece up in there. Wouldn't it be good if we could get that? So we proposed that. Somewhere along the line, City Leisure Services said yeah. And it's mad. They shouldn't have said yes in hindsight. And when it came to it, I think we did a bit of promo for it, and I got Martin Jones involved a little bit. I was asking him for advice. He was driving over to York of his own account. If no one knows who Martin Jones is, that was Goldie's old manager, and he managed the B-Boys back in the day.
I've interviewed Martin Jones.
Yeah.
So anyone watching, watch my interview with Martin Jones, and a big RIP to Martin Jones.
Yes.
So he's a very important key player within the West Midlands scene.
And some of the photos he took documenting that early Midlands scene are amazing. And the national scene, because he's got photos from electro rock.
That's right, Hippodrome, yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of like he's got photos that only he would have as well, like things like he's got Chrome Angels with Goldie and Birdie in front of the electro rock piece, and tons of stuff.
His interview with me is amazing. So anyone watching, please go and watch that, and a big RIP to Martin. So did Martin come up to that event?
Yeah, he organised a coach from Birmingham.
Wow.
And I think what happened was Goldie didn't want to be in the competition, but he wanted to do a demonstration piece and be one of the judges. I think he was the judge, but I get the feeling he might have left that to Martin. I'm not sure, because my piece was crap and I came third. And I think Martin did it because of the work I put in organising it. And I think he just felt like, this kid's young.
Who come
and
first?
He's doing all this and he's burning up his dad's phone bill.
Who won the event?
The Style Stars from Manchester won it. I think System came second, and I think I came third.
And was it rammed?
Absolutely, because what I think we did was we got in touch with Mike Allen when he was National Fresh.
Oh, we put
and he did a thing going, Boston Loose, Fossbank Car Park, York, be there or be square. Did his kind of Mike Allen thing, and after that, I remember the the woman at the leisure services, she was called Jane Milne. Next time we spoke to her, it's like, oh, we've been getting so many people ringing us up since they've heard it on the radio. And then anyway, when it comes to the day, too many writers in one place, and the council, it was just like literally Jane and one person. There was no supervisor. I was painting. My friend Mossy, who I'd gone into this with in the first place, was painting with his crew. He was from a different crew, so I'm doing my thing, and so there was no security, and you just got thousands of writers from different parts of the country who've never met each other before, rival crews, everything.
Did it get completely battered?
That tension in that building was insane. It was just rivalry. There's a whole thing with Sheffield and Birmingham, and I think at some point a kind of mixed green had gone missing from where Goldie was painting, because he was right in the middle. And I remember, I think Solo One was talking to me one time.
Solo One?
Because he was on the wall opposite. And he said, oh no, I'm there painting. And every time Goldie told the crowd to step back, they all come to me. And I'm trying to paint, and I've got all these crowd moving back. He said, oh, it was a nightmare. I think something happened with the Sheffield crew, because they were there in kind of numbers anyway. And it was just a bit of like, I don't know, it just went off. And I don't know, there was rumours, but as I'm painting, I didn't see a lot of stuff. Because I was trying to get my piece finished, because everyone started coming round saying I'd hurry up. Police are shutting it down. I think we've got like half an hour. So you're all trying to get your outlines on and your highlights on. There's so much.
Trying to rush it.
Yeah, so much unfinished stuff in there.
You got photos from that?
Yeah, I've got photos from that. I've got a YouTube video of it up as well.
What's the YouTube channel?
I can't remember. I'll send you the link.
Send me the link. I'll put it in the description box.
I think it's on the open source YouTube channel.
Right.
SRC, but I'll confirm that with you.
That sounds like a legendary event.
Yeah. It's worth putting the link in the description box, that one, because you can see the chaos in the event, and you can see some of it unfolding. But it stayed like that for years, because it got bombed. And I think what happened was they were going into the Sainsbury's and the home base next door and bombing over there. And I think it was them who started calling the law and going, look, we've got all these kids coming over, vandalising everything in sight here, what's going on? And then they'd get to the car park and they could just see the damage everywhere, and it was just like, this ain't right. And then, but I don't think anyone got arrested.
Yeah, sounds like a legendary event.
But they wanted it closed down, and yeah, so Martin organised a coach from Birmingham.
Martin done so
Martin
much.
Jones. He did.
Martin done so much. He's really like an unsung hero of UK hip hop.
For real.
And as I said, when you listen to Martin's interview or even watch it on my YouTube channel, you know, the guy is an absolute legend. I want to also give another big RIP to State of Art Bunny Bread from NSA Non-Stop Art. Big shout out to Fade and Kane and all them guys. But yeah, Bunny was another one of them kind of, you know, wicked character artists as well. And I know you was friends with Bunny as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I kind of, I always knew his stuff way back in the day. But I probably met him a bit later. I met him a bit later into the 90s, whatever, because I think after that Earth's Edge wall, I think they all kind of stopped around that time. But
I never actually see that, believe it or not.
Yeah, it stayed up for years.
Yeah, I
until
never
it
see
faded. The character was still there, and I remember I painted at Trenick, and the Kane 1 was still above the emulsion line from the last artists, and it was one of the Kane 1 wild style bits was still there with his tags inside the letters, and that was mad. I mean, it's all gone now, but yeah, it did stay like that for a year. A lot of people didn't really know where that was. Everyone knew the pit and under the Westway, but that one was a bit kind of like, everyone could see Trellick Tower, but I don't think anyone knew there was anything next to it, you know. So yeah, it did stay good. But there was people back in the day who caught photos of that, and there was other bits to the side that Rich done, and Rage and Kane himself. There was all kinds of different stuff that was separate to that wall on the side walls.
Yeah, I wish I'd gone there, but yeah, I never went there. But I was going, obviously, loads of places. I mean, obviously, the Westway for me was probably the greatest kind of, if you want to call it a Hall of Fame. It has so much of a buzz about that place. You know, you get off at Westbourne Park, you go over the bridge, and you look to the right or to the left, you try and see the pieces. I mean, that place, you know, the Westway was electric, wasn't it? I mean, there were so many great pieces over there. Did you love it over the Westway?
I loved the Westway, and just the way the pieces looked on those panels. And even that one where you'd see one. I remember the Rebel piece. I've forgotten who did that. Yeah, there's the Rebels piece, and then you could still see a Futura tag above it on another panel. And just that concrete. I think a lot of us, from seeing that, everyone wanted to paint on that type of concrete, no matter where you were in the country. It was just that, you know, proper concrete.
Yeah, it's so much energy over there. I mean,
No one
obviously,
wanted bricks.
I want to give a big shout out to Scam as well.
Yeah,
Crew.
Nicky Scam, yeah.
Big shout out to Scam. Scam was doing some wicked pieces over there.
Yeah, I remember doing a wall with Scam, Bunny, Pulse and Rage. We painted the pit, did a whole kind of production piece. I just wonder, I was living down there at the time, around 2010, on the end of Portobello where Goldbourne Road is, and I used to wander in there with a mug of tea in the morning sometime. I'd see them all in there.
And a can of paint.
And I seen Pulse look up at me, Keith, hey, do you want to paint? I'm like, I'm just having a cup of tea, man. I ain't really got much paint, whatever. And I come down in the little doorway. Next minute, Scam's just running up with cans going, there you go. And then some of the others can chip a few in as well. And then next minute, I've just got a paint collection. I'm like, all right, let me just nip back to the flat and just see if I've got any sketches. And I just had a few doodles, and I thought I'll just work from a few doodles and freestyle some. And but I think it was Pulse who originally introduced me to Bunny at some exhibition we did when he was Airheads. But I knew him over the years, and I'd run into him and Grove and stuff, and here and there. And I think occasionally, I think he did try and hook me up a workshop in Birmingham, but it was like for the next day. It was short notice, and they were on the company he'd given my number to, whatever. When I checked on the payment, it was like 30 days. I'm like, look, I'm not going to spend money out of my own pocket at this short notice for to do a workshop a day. So it never happened. But yeah, that was Bunny. He would try and link things. He pushed a few things my way like that. So he was a great guy. But with the new group, we've got Full Metal Rabid. You've got Juice and Ebu. So Juice knows him from Birmingham from doing works because Bunny moved to Birmingham from London.
That's right.
But then Bam and Akil have known him for years. But then you've got Daz IQ from Bugs in the Attic, who's doing all our mastering, who are also good friends with Bam and Akil. But Daz was a lifelong friend. So when I started doing these lives with the group, Daz would come in and then Bunny would come in. And I think he was like, someone couldn't make it. And I just started Bunny and he came in. And then the next minute he just became a regular. So at the time we were speaking like, yeah, we need to do a graph thing. And because we've done 2-3 hour lives, 6 hours of conversations, Bunny, and we never even talked about graph. We just talked about digging and hip hop, you know. And what had happened was I said, you know what? I wanted to link something up with Pops actually to talk about the Marilyn Monroe. And also Pops is one of the few people who was actually painting Grove as a non-London writer when he was doing the help pieces and the TPC on the side of the footbridge and stuff. So I said, there's crossover there, and there's a crossover that you're doing photorealism now, Bunny, and then there's a history of Pops and myself. So we get them all in. And then I tried to get Pops, but I forgot he was in New Zealand. I didn't get enough notice. And Bunny was ready to go, and I think 5 minutes before I went, look, let's reschedule this, because I haven't heard back from Pops. I don't know, I'm not familiar with the time difference, and he didn't come back till late, whatever. But then before I could reschedule it again, it was a bit like I said to the other guys, oh, I need to speak to Bunny and reschedule this graph chat with Pops or whatever, and Pops 100. And then the next morning, before I could even do that, I got all the messages. And it took me half an hour to compute it. I'm like, what? Then I went on Instagram, State of Art, rest in peace, Bonnie Bread. I was like, wow. Because what I'm getting, we've got a WhatsApp group for our new super group, Full Metal Rabid. And I'm just reading everything in there like, I'm gutted, can't believe it. And I'm like, what can't they believe? You know what I mean? And then I think Eba would put, yeah, he was so talented. I'm like, in the end, I'm like, are they talking about Bunny? And then as soon as I went on Instagram, I'm like, no way. That was...
It was a big shock, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we were going to talk about it about a week or two later on a live, but 5 minutes before everyone went, nah, not ready, can't do this. And I was a bit like, well, I was I didn't want to back up because I didn't want to let you guys down. But now you're all saying that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not quite on the vibe. We do need to do that at some point. It's been some time, but I think because Daz was like childhood friend, and then Bam also has a group called Oxygen with Gus, who's Steve Austin, and he was like, they were like tight, you know. So it was mad, and Bunny had almost become almost like a member of the band, even though he's not on it. I don't even think he heard the LP in the end. I think that was a question someone asked: did Bunny hear the LP before he left us? And yeah, I don't think he did. I think he heard maybe one tune or something. So yeah, that was a big shock.
Yeah,
at the end of last year.
A big RIP to Bunny.
Yeah.
Going back
big
to
up his fam.
Yeah, 100%. Going back to like documentaries as well. Another very powerful documentary. There was a documentary called Bad Meaning Good. What did you think of Bad Meaning Good?
I think it was good because I don't think
You
anybody...
thought it was good.
That sounds like a child, doesn't it? You know, I think it was good because I liked the bit when and then the bit when... Oh, man. No, it was needed because I don't think people knew different things and people had photos of different pieces and people had heard different records, but there was nothing really documenting what was going on, and to see people performing or in the studio and then writers talking about stuff, and then even those trains outside London, it wasn't easy to come by photos of trains before Bad Meaning Good. It was all Covent Garden and Grove stuff, but the train things, they were a little bit like it was only that film really made it apparent how much was going on, and like see things like the Cash Money piece, like fuel and foam, and you know, all of that was kind of mad.
And there's some really iconic bits in there when when Sipo and big RIP to Sipo and Bionic and Westwood's driving down the Old Kent Road in his Sierra. And then Sipo's beatboxing and Bionic's like MCing.
So Bionic's MCing, and he does the breakdown. You know, he does the breakdown. My posse's doing a show, and he does a little speech bit in the intro. We bumped into Sifo when we were New Flesh years later, and we were doing a live gig in Manchester, and we chatted to him in the crowd, and we got him up on stage, and he did that with New Flesh with our group. So he got Juice. So New Flesh at the time was Juice, Aleem and Toasty Taylor. They're on stage MC, and I'm behind the turntable, and the Sifo's up there with him, and he did a little breakdown. You just put New Flesh in it instead of London Posse or whatever. I can't remember the whole line now, but it's like with New Flesh, we're doing a show. I just want you all to know. And that whole routine, he flipped it there, and then sadly we lost Sifo as well.
Yeah.
Not long after that.
Yeah,
but,
big RIP to Sipo. But yeah, Bad Meaning Good was great.
Yeah.
Did you
that scene where the Rebel Without a Pause comes on as well?
Yeah. Was you also going to 4-Star General as well, like in Carnaby Street? Because that was one of the iconic shops to get your hip-hop garms. Yeah,
we used to go 4-Star General, and I remember the posters. And it was one of them shops, you know, where you get your Kangals from and Trooper. There was a few shops around the country like that back in the day. There was a place in York called Fever, and they had all the Kangals, Troop tracksuit, belt buckles.
Did they?
Yeah. There's a guy called Bob Burrows. Big up Bob. He runs a night called Deviant Funk. He collects rare funk 7s and stuff, heavy funk. So big up Bob. Yeah, he was working in there back in the day. He worked in, there was a record shop, Red Rhino and Depth Charge. They were quite big shops back in the day. Like Hip Hop Connection, you'd always see the Depth Charge charts. So nothing to do with the artist, Depth Charge, but it was Depth Charge. Yeah. Red Rhino as well. Mossy worked there. Used to get the bits of imports from both those shops. But Fever, yeah, they had all the Troop tracksuits when they were big through Stetsasonic. Kangol hats, and I got my first Kangol before that shop existed, but I got it from used to go to Manchester to a shop called Spin In disc centre. They had Kangles in there, and I remember going in there at the time when Lessons 1, 2 and 3, Double D and Steinsky came out, and it was a white label, because I'd heard it on the radio, and I'm like, oh, I need to get that. And I went, oh, have you got Double D and Steinsky, Lessons 1, 2 and 3? And he went, do you know how much it is? No. He went, 20 quid, and I'm just like a little kid in it, so it was like, no, that's cool, I'll have it. just a white label. So yeah, that was another shop similar to, you had the 4-Star Generals and Groove Records. I don't know what there was in other places like Bristol, whatever, but the Manchester and the York one, Fever, was quite just a specialist in any hip-hop gear. You used to get the Budweiser caps like the one Kool Keith was wearing in Critical Beatdown. Stuff like that there, and those fake Gucci hats.
And the MCMs and that, Louis Vuittons.
Yeah, they had MCM in there, British Knights, trainers, all that kind of stuff. But I was a bit of a rebel. I never got into that stuff as much. I was still wearing Puma States.
And in terms, in terms of you know, the scratch DJs as well, we had some incredible scratch DJs, from your Pogos to the Cutmaster Swifts. I mean, there's too many to name. Have you got a few favourite, you know, DJs from back then?
I remember, I've got photos with Cutmaster Swift in York. He came up and played York. And I've got photos of me rhyming with DJ Devastate from Twilight Firm.
Because you're a big fan of Demon Boys as well.
I was a massive fan of the Demon Boys, and that whole Twilight Firm production, just the way they had that sound, and they just had it nailed. It was like a really UK sound, but it had the NYC, it had all the flavour, and just the way that they were programming the beats. And
the way they looked.
Yeah. So Devastate was booked in York. I think that was Bob Burrows as well, because he used to DJ this night. And also, you know, like in London, Pogo, Cutmaster Swift and all this. But up north, we had our own in the likes of DJ Mongoose and DJ Mink from Sheffield. And they used to come to York all the time. Guess why? On every Tuesday night, once a week, this nightclub had a 10p a pint night. And it was Mongoose DJing. And when he didn't do it, DJ Mink used to do it. So you'd have all the Sheffield people coming over for that. So there was always... you know, this DJ thing going on. Mink and Mongoose, York. I think it was called Raffles Bar. This was like probably 88, 89, 90. Went on for like 3 years. They were always playing. And and then a lot of the York crew were always kind of connected with that Sheffield crew. You had like D Warburton, +2, and all them were TDK. Not just as a graffiti crew, they had their dance thing, TDK Dancers. So there's a video by Unique 3 from Bradford, who were bleep techno.
I remember Unique 3,
in '88.
They had some wicked cover on there on the 12. I got one of their tunes.
They did a rap tune called Musical Melody, and on the video, they're dancing in, TDK from Sheffield are dancing in front of my backdrop. I did the backdrop live at a place called the Sound Yard in Bradford.
What's TDK stand for?
I can't remember in terms of the dance crew, but as writers, it was totally, was it Totally Destructive Crew or something? I can't remember, you know.
Crew.
I should remember that. Bloody hell, the amount of time I hung out with those guys, I don't remember what TDK, because no one ever used the full name.
Put a comment below if anyone knows.
Totally Destructive Chaos or something.
Yeah.
The first 2 words are correct, Totally Destructive something.
Well, we're going back a long way, Keith.
Yeah, it was Dave D and Sean, I think, they were doing the dancing. And you had that whole thing with DJ Mink as well. He was doing tunes with KID from Nottingham, and also MSD from Nottingham, and Rapper Groove, who was Blue Eyes. They did that tune, Pick Up a Mic on a Soul Tip. These were some of the people from back in the day, and then other groups around the area when, because I lived in Leeds as well, was Breaking the Illusion, BTI. Those guys were there from way back, you know. They were kind of touted as the UK De La Soul at the time with that first record. I think it was Can You Understand or something. Can you understand the words we are saying in this song? And they were rapping with a kind of slight northern accent. So there's a similar thing going on up there as there was with, say, Bionic or Rodney P and London Posse bringing in the Cockney thing. But yeah, big up Bionic. I know he's followed some of the Full Metal Rabid stuff.
Yeah, Bionic, absolutely legendary. I mean, so many legends. Obviously, your Blades, your Demon Boys,
Yeah,
London
yeah.
Posses.
And then our period
Duke.
with the music thing really was the Big Dada, early Big Dada period with Roots Maneuver. Because I think we did a few of the early singles, then they signed Roots Maneuver. And when they signed him for an album, I think me and Juiceline collared Will Ashen in the Thames Side Inn, just up the river there where the Cutty Sark is. And we said, yeah, we want to do an album. We don't just, why do you keep signing us for singles? We want to do an album. Are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah, we're ready. So then we signed our album deal. So, Roots Maneuver would have his album, then followed by a New Flesh. And then it'd be like that with a second album and then the second New Flesh album. But then Ty joined the ranks somewhere down the line. I forget what year that was. But we did a posse track called Big Dada Sound, where I did the beats, MK did the cuts, and we had Ty on there, Roots Maneuver, and Mike Ladd as well from Bronx, New York, Juice Salim, Toasty, and it was a Planet. It was meant to be. It was for their anniversary. They wanted it to resemble Planet Rock, but I kind of switched it to a dancehall beat instead of the Kraftwerk numbers thing. But then instead of the kind of Trans Europe Express theme, I used Ravel's Bolero. So it was like a dancehall rhythm going. Yeah, I remember Ty's verse on there.
I want to give a big RIP to Ty as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Big RIP to Ty.
So,
sadly,
yeah,
another one we sadly lost.
A lot of us guys would do a lot of live stuff together, and there'd always be bouncing ideas back and forth. So it was like this circular wheel of inspiration going on at the time in Big Dada. And as well as New Flesh, you had Juice Salim and another crew with Blackitude called Gamma. They had the Shadowless crew, which was loads of them. So yeah, they were the good old days, man. Touring everywhere. And
you worked with Ramel Z as well, didn't you?
on the second New Flesh album, I did a collaboration with Ramel Z. We did 2 tracks.
That must have been a massive highlight, because I'm a huge fan of Ramel Z.
Well, we performed with him, and we did live shows with Ram. So the Black Alicious thing came about. They came to see us at the Mojo Club in Hamburg, Germany. And after the gig, Gifted Gab came backstage going, yo, we got to work together, man. That was dope. And then with Ram, it was a case of we got interviewed by a guy who just interviewed Ram in The Wire, and that linked up. And I think Will said, yeah, with the more abstract avant-garde stuff you guys are trying to do, you need to work with Ram. So we linked that up. Then we started doing live shows. First one was in Marseille, and he brought the Barshore Gangster, the Dragon Duck costume. And then we did the Scala in London, and he had the Crocs the Monk outfit. And that was part of one of Scratch's nights. So we did some performances with him as well. I did a few painting collaborations with him as well, but yeah, we became really good friends.
But yeah, your production is absolutely, like your art, is on another level.
Yeah, it's changed over the years. I've got more traditional sampling on this new project. With New Flesh, it was a mixture of sampling and software sounds.
New Flesh, how did you come up with that name, New Flesh?
David Cronenberg, Videodrome. To become the New Flesh, you have to destroy the old, or something like that, and then it says New Flesh. Well, where there's that scene with the television. So you see David Cronenberg's Videodrome, yeah? That's the inspiration for the name. I remember just watching things like that and going, wow, yeah. I mean, I don't know, my inspiration at the time was I was really into Divine Styler's first album. And then he did this second album on Giant. And he'd gone all kind of like, he got into Jimi Hendrix, and he was just like this mad abstract guitar thing. And it just made me think, wow, I loved that Divine Styler album, Word Power. But this one, I think this was like 92. I thought, he's just proved you can do what the hell you want. And it doesn't matter whether it fits into hip-hop categorization or what. So I was always looking for a name like that would just take things in a different direction a little bit more. I was more about, can we make a kind of rap thing in the UK, but more avant-garde, because I was into that styles of people like Divine Style, and also things like Freestyle Fellowship and Ultramagnetic, in some sense, that Four Horsemen LP. found that was like really going in a new direction. Just the lyrics were just out there. So I was working on that with the guys. So that's how that kind of came about. But yeah, with the Ram LZ stuff, it kind of worked quite naturally in some sense. We had some good times. I think, oh gosh, when can you remember when the Trade Centre was going off? I was doing a sleeve for the Bug, and it was a tune with Daddy Freddy on, and he wanted like an old reggae style cover, like a collage. So I was doing it with like red, yellow, green, things like that. And I kind of had bits of buildings, bits of London buildings, and I had bits from sci-fi books chopped up from different movies. There was two Beatles fighting in the middle. But I had the Barbican buildings now, and then a big tower. And I had this plane I'd cut out, and I was thinking, should that be flying into one of the buildings? But for some reason at that time, I used to leave the TV on with the sound off. And I kept catching it out my peripheral, this tower on fire, and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a film trailer. And some 10-15 minutes now, it's still there, and I just saw the word live, and I went, hang on, I need to turn the sound on. And I'm like, when I realised what was happening, I'm like, I can't believe I was just playing around with a plane on this sleeve, as if it should be aiming at a building. And then the day went on, you know, everyone knows what happened on that day. And at the time I'm like, I hope Ram's all right, because he's in Battery Park City right next to there. So I'm trying to ring, can't get through. Some time later, maybe 7 or 8 o'clock, my phone rings. He didn't even ask for anybody. All I hear is Ram's voice at the other end of the phone. Somebody just blew up my motherfucking skyline. And it was just like, so you're all right then, Ram? He's like, yeah, I was on the rooftop, saw the whole thing with a beer. That's nuts.
Yeah, Ramsey, another inspiration.
Yeah, he just the way he described it was, yeah, I saw the whole firework display, boss. You know, yeah, he was on another level, man.
Totally. So let's try and round this up now, Keith, because I know obviously there's still a lot more that I want to ask you, but maybe we'll have to do a part 2 because we're only just kind of warming up.
no, there's a pun in there.
when you enter the Ultra Cab, you know, we don't mess about. But
you're right.
I want to obviously talk about the new project you're working on. So quickly tell me about that. Who's involved, and then we're going to play one of the tracks off the album that's going to be coming out.
Well, Juice Aleem.
Big shout out to Juice.
Yeah, big up Juice. He phoned me up one time, and I've been working on a load of new beats. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with him, and I'm playing him down the phone. And then I think he rung up again like the following week. I went, yeah, I'm still thinking about those beats you played me. They're the most hip-hop style beats I've heard you do. You know, it's time, man. We need another new flesh. It's been years. When was the last album? 2006. We just done those 3 LPs, 99, 2001, 2006. Let's do another new flesh. And I'm like, I'm in an R in. And I said, we'd need to get Ebu involved. What's Ebu doing at the moment? Oh, I'll ring him and ask him. Then he comes back, Ebu's on board. And I said, you know what? I've been doing a few things on my own through a label called Open Source, and I've been working with Bam and Akil from Scientists of Sound, who were on Bite It back in the day. And I was meant to do a project for them, and it just never got happening. And let me speak to them. What do you think about doing like a supergroup thing? And Juice was like, well, yeah, ask them, see if they're up for it. And I spoke to them, and they were up for it. And we were just chatting on this little Zoom call or WhatsApp call, whatever it was. And somewhere along the line, we were just getting deep into one. And I said, yeah, let's just get Full Metal Rabbit on it. And they were like, ooh, I like that. Like, yeah, going down the rabbit holes, get Full Metal Rabbit, Full Metal Jacket, check the pun, you know. And they're on board. Then I speak to Juice and Ebu, and they're like, yeah, cool. But then as you Google it, a lot of things were coming up with Full Metal Rabbit. And then everyone said, what about Rabid? So, Rabid, like, we could be the Rabidians. So we came up with that. But as we were talking about this whole Full Metal Rabid thing, I think we got onto the subject of Watership Down, and Bam was like, yo, you remember that film back in the day? That was heavy, that was dark. And he's like, and it's so British as well, the whole watership down thing and the narration. Yeah, we could go somewhere in that direction, you know. Full Metal Rabbit, and we're like rabbit mass and performances, and it just clicked. So we slowly just started working together, sending the vocal files back and forth, and yeah, so we've ended up with like 2 volumes. So volume 1's like 10 tracks, volume 2 is I think there's 11 tracks on volume 2. So we've split it up, and I think it just makes it easier and more affordable to just do a single vinyl, move that, and then do another single vinyl rather than shell out a whole heap of money for double vinyl and have the album too long. It's kind of like you can break it up into volumes. So it's called Rabbit Cuts Volume 2, and Rabbit Cuts the old butcher's thing when they used to label all the different sections of the rabbit, which is what I've used in the logo. So so we got Rabbit Cuts Volume 1 ready to drop. I'm sure you got the link in the description box.
Yeah, we're going to blast the cab in a
That's
minute.
it. We're going to blast the cab in a minute. And I will say this is all for entertainment purposes only. Hit the like button and share.
Exactly, yeah. And where can people support and you know, buy the vinyl and the download copy?
So yeah, I'm going to give you the link. So by the time this goes out, the link will be in the description box, and you should be able to hit that link and order the album. There it is, and then it's all there. The records are ready. They're being delivered this week. Done all the test pressing thing, all sounding good. Steve going to get it blasting in.
I can't wait to hear this. And also,
yeah.
Keith, where can people follow you as well? What's your Instagram details? And
well, we're going out through Gum Records, Grown Up Music, which is Daz IQ's label. But then the link will be a separate thing for the vinyl. He's dealing with mainly the digital, but the vinyl is probably going to come out before the digital release. So the digital release will be later. So the vinyl will be quite quick, short supply, basically. So yeah, don't hang around. Yeah, we're just going to move those things out quick, you know, get on to volume 2, get that out, because we've got some lovely tunes on there. So we did want to include Toasty Taylor from New Flesh on the Full Metal Rabbit project, but he didn't have the time at the time due to work. But we managed to get him on featuring on one of the tracks on volume 2, so there is a bit of Toasty Taylor coming up. And also we got Madhav Sharma, the actor who was on The East is East. He plays the dad of the daughter they're trying to marry one of the sons off to. And then he's been in EastEnders, Holby City, Coronation Street, Private Eye, all kinds of stuff. So we got him doing the narration because Bam really wanted that kind of watership down style narration with the kind of English. And he's like from Calcutta, but he came over here because he was so into Shakespeare and he wanted to try and create a career for himself over here.
Incredible. A big shout out to him, a big shout out to everybody. Is there anyone you want to give a quick little shout out to? I mean, there's been too many people. Do you want to give one big shout out?
Yeah, shout out to Nicky, who's always been involved on so many of my projects over time, yeah. So my partner, so big up Nicky. Who else? Ooh, music wise, big up Daz IQ for all the mastering. Big up Vinyl Press UK in York. So if you need that vinyl pressing, yeah, hit them up. So many people. Artist wise, yeah, big up all the crew out there, still out there, getting your name out there. People painting, people progressing the art form, people trying new things, people trying to cross barriers, boundaries. Everybody who's in this for keeps. Everybody who got the hip hop bug. Everybody who's not been able to shake that disease. Why would we want to, you know, just everybody out there. Big up, say Mike Ballards, David Samuel, other artists I kind of respect right now who are doing stuff. God, there's so many. I know I'm going to hear this back and go, oh, I forgot so-and-so, forgot so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, I'm sure I've missed people, so
yeah,
it's a dangerous game.
And I want to give a personal shout out, big once again, big up to Blade. Thanks for
Big up Blade as well, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for hooking me and part 2 up. Yeah, it's an amazing interview.
Yeah.
I want to give up a big RIP to everybody that we've lost over the years.
Ram LZ, Black Alicious, Bunny Bread, Deficits. God, the list goes on. It's just yeah, we'll keep it at that.
Way too many that we've lost.
Way too many soldiers.
Yeah.
But yo, we're just passing through. You know, they're in the next level of the other Matrix now. The bigger Matrix.
They're here with us in spirit.
Yeah, they've left their mark and they left their inspiration, and now you know we pick up that mantle and we take it forward and we keep it going. You know, but you know, we're here, and it's good that we're able into our 50s to be able to even have made these projects and keep these fires burning. You know what I mean? It ain't all about, like, you know, being young and up and coming, which is what the industry likes these days. It's just like, we ain't trying to be like old men trying to do something we've grown out. We're just doing something because we've just the energy and inspiration still there. That's it. You know. Well,
I must admit, Keith, this has been one inspiring interview. Cab chat.
So I'll sign out.
You're an absolute legend in the game, and we're going to get this cab fired up. We're going to get the sirens going. So let me just
before I do any more of this crazy posturing, I'll sign out. This is part 2, aka part 2ism, aka Mr. Vector. Vector in 2040.
I think we'll have to do a part 3 because I still had a load more to ask.
Yeah, where is part 3? We need to mentor some new people. Part 3, part 4, part 5, part 10, part 20.
Right, let's get this thing fired up. Right,
fire it up.
A little ride now in the back of the Ultra Cab. We're going to get this thing fired up, and we're going to be playing the latest tune off the album called Get Free. Are you ready to do this, Keith?
Yeah, it's time to go. Full Metal Rabbit.
Full Metal Rabbit. Here we go. Let's get the sirens ready, and we're going to rock the London Ultra Cab.
Yo, Bunny Bang, for real. What do you think I'm doing this for? Why do you think I got this attitude? Because we've got to win, we've got to survive at all costs. Let me break it down to you, man. Hold up, man, because I ain't that done. Who's gonna be running round after you? I think you forgot the whole warren's hot shows daily. We pounding the groove. Breathe and get free. Procreate a super soldier that was holding up at me. Whoa, just echo.
Millions of ways and there's only one way out. Can't be caught dazing with this freedom in my snout. Born with a sense of justice that avoided going for clout. Since us laws, this rebellion's been adding up the count. Gnawing through the floorings, how we came in master's house. Melanistic breeding caught the eyes of his spouse. Let freedom reign, the money shots in the mouth. Twin towers are more door fall when we devout. Dark ball, the rabbit got the gun without a doubt. Went from hot to warren, doing better, that's throughout. Freedom for my people means we drinking in this drought. Freedom for my people, I need freedom. Yeah.
I beg you ease up, I beg you settle down. I beg you ease up, I beg you settle down. I beg you ease up, I beg you settle down. I beg you ease up, ease up. I told my gal settle, cause she was freaking hopping bad. But I always seem to see you with your flipping pen and pad. Guess she wasn't glad that I wasn't in a padded pen. Dodging stars, getting hutch to find myself inside a hutch again. Geez, this man make me ease up on my mate there. We here to create the next kit, not my next exit. See the scar on my right eye wasn't there from man I tried. More a do or die dodging them foxes on a slide. Them warrants don't hold themselves up. So I gotta rock these bells, always facing themselves. Fuck, life is not about the ones who stay the headlights face on. Come on, more for the runners who get close to being gone. That's right. So this song's for the braves there who keep the things in the yard good. Come on. Don't ask where it came from, just know that there's food. This song's for the braves there, trying to do some good. Don't ask where it came from, just know that there's food. I beg you ease up, I beg you settle down. I beg you ease up, I beg you settle down. I beg you ease up, I beg you settle down. I beg you ease up, get free.
We get free, but we still doing the most.
toast. Man looking at reparations, still comatose. Sleep at the wheel, how does it feel? Raise your toast. Booty clapping, strapping, still running it all about. Civil rights concern me, burn me no doubt. Jab electric fence with stakes, it shorts out. Picking up the scent, no pause, we head south. How can you be running gauntlet with no clouds? We don't really business what government chat about. Lick down one away, next one sprout out. We bow through, enough of them hide and them a crouch. Bonfire upon them cause water drought. Rebellion philosophy straight out remote. General who walk can't talk we out. Shut up boy, we too proud. Freedom we a look.
Freedom we are thinking on some sexual telepathy. Heavenly bombs let off. You're not a friend of me. Spray shots like I work for BlackRock. You live local, I days to try stop. AR-15 sprayed up with action. Bust shots at his feet so we can't crack on. Gas out them hairs on a mad one. Like beats volleyball, see mad bombs. Catalyst crew like the Met done so cool lefties. Stand up, going agua and zesty. Press the selfie jet, we only get respect when we tear on for the ops head. For your love babes, I'll never stop this bloodshed.
Yes, yes, yes. The Rapidians would like to make this a dedication to all those people out there trying to do good for their family. All those people out there hustling, doing their thing. Whether it's like in the workplace, whether you're doing it on the road, whatever. It's a dedication for all your man there working hard. Yeah.